A triple kill, but Soda Finn, he'll deny the plant. He sees 2 more kills. Oh my god! Soda Finn will find more!
Where's Miracle? He's trying to come upstairs, but Crafty will get the ace. He'll get the plant. He'll do it all.
Device misses shots. He's gonna have to go for the front.
Oh,
He pushes
Dylan!
on through. Dylan is better.
Round 2, and there's another as Tyrant is finished off, and they all line up for phone.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Storm Competitive Series here in Season 5. It's Week 1, it's the group stage, and nothing gets me more pumped up than that brilliant introduction that we have for a stream. My name is Chief Cass, my partner in crime, longtime friend, Mr. Reese himself. Sticula, welcome.
How you doing, Chief?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. My first showing here in Season 5, of course, we did a lot of those group stages as well as the qualifiers, but nothing is quite like the real deal, and the real deal is upon us. We have the honor of the last game of Week 1.
The final conclusion as the first week reaches its rising point in one of the most competitive games so far. Team VaLe, Challenger League material, Project Neo, some of the best the T3 amateur scene in North America has to offer, and the team that JJ likes to call the best team in T3. We'll see how they shape up today against their CL counterparts. Team VaLe, not the oldest team in the book, but a lot of strong individual talent. Of course, we just got done with the Wichita Wolves Nemesis game, where Wichita secured 6 points, 2 regulation victories. They currently sit atop the throne in Group A now as we move to Group B.
And just a reminder, in our 2 groups, you do not want to be sitting in 5th and 6th place. That is the automatic get removed from the league at the end of Week 5. At Nemesis, they're the first teams to find themselves in the true bottom rung. They were the series of for us I was just playing. And Nemesis is a phenomenal roster. They have a lot of potential, but today there was mistakes on the board, and they're going to have to correct it as they move in through future play weeks. Now, of course, you can see double zeros for the 2 rosters that are going to be playing in today. That's just because, well, they have yet to have their showing.
Not exactly had their day in the sun so far as we have seen. Team VaLe, I think, have a strong chance here over Project Neo, who are such a consistent and strong roster, but Team VaLe, there's a reason that they're in CL, and they're one of the teams that we're looking at as far as the top 10 of CL, and their fraggers, their coordination, their chemistry, they really have it all going for them. And I would be not totally surprised to see maybe an even trade, or perhaps Team VaLe to get a regulation win on their map pick and then maybe slog it out through OT on Neo's pick. We'll go to the rosters now. Familiar faces across both sides. When you're looking at VaLe, CL experience, but long-time members inside of T3. Afer has been around since even before I was started casting. Frozen as well has been a coach for a long time. He worked on Beast Coast. You look on the Neo side of things, all familiar faces and some returning players that we've seen before in Storm Competitive Series.
And Neo was a roster that technically didn't qualify out of our qualifiers. They ended up getting the bye as the roster that finished up as runner-up in Season 4. Had to step away from our league, and the only remaining member from that roster of Old Prime, well, that's going to be Oni, now finding himself a new abode here on Project Neo. So we're going to have to see how that dynamic ends up playing out in this series, because there was a lot of controversy around that play, and, well, at the base level, Oni being a new member to Project Neo, that means they're not going to have a lot of time to synergize and create strategies around their new element.
I've been hearing a lot of talk, specifically from JJ, about how Oni has slotted into his system. Of course, Oni comes onto this roster off of the now disbanded Pride. He replaces Rated, who is a longtime teammate of JJ. In fact, I think JJ, X24, and Rated go back more than 1 year playing together on a team. That's a lot of chemistry to lose, and Oni has some big support choose to fill. We'll look at the predictions now, where it seems like Team VaLe's CL status has promoted them to the top of the field.
This is probably the most difficult prediction other than Honor PDHM, because we know VaLe is Challenger League material, but Project Neo I believe is Challenge League material. Now, they're too young to participate, yet to be 18 plus, but everything that they've shown and every league they played playing against the upper echelon of rosters, they've proven to me that they're capable of doing so. Honestly, leading more towards a tie. Oh, thank the Lord. Do you see what's not here? Borrigan, not an option today. That's always a W in my book.
Rolling through the bans, of course, you see front and center, Team VaLe remove theme park, and this is no surprise whatsoever. Project Neo, historically an incredibly talented team on theme park. I don't know how that's changed with the introduction of Oni, as well as with the news that the map is maybe in the pool, maybe it's not. Ubisoft is yet to comment on that exact status, but everybody on Twitter has their opinion of just what the changes coming in the next season might look like. The other ban that definitely sticks out as a historic one that you don't want to let Project Neo go to, gotta be Consulate. The rest of the bans, I think, are largely par for the course. Project Neo never been a particularly strong coastline team. Oregon and Cafe, glad to have both of those removed. We have Villa joining us once again, and the very vanilla default Clubhouse, I would say your Nuketown.
And I have to say, while sure the bans today have been a little bit default, throughout this week, we've seen just about every map under the sun. We've seen rosters willing to experiment and not hold anything back. And I'm expecting that even after maps that are so overplayed, so traditional, to fall in that exact same ban. But let's start and getting things underway as we dive here into Club.
Operator bans are something that we always have to talk about in each and every map in the pool, but Clubhouse can be particularly predictable. Always a centralized focus on hard breach when you're talking about the attacker vetoes, and when you swap on to the opposite side of things, the defense tends to see a lot of intel-focused bans, as well as a few Malusi Wamai bans tossed in every now and then. Thatcher's the immediate pick taken away, and I think we'll probably have Maverick come up as the next one, if not for Habana, who we will have selected by Project Neo. Both of those two hard breachers I just named, very prevalent and effective on such a hard-focused map.
Yeah, and moving forward, I'd rather prefer to remove Habana simply because of her change. Her X-Cairo pellets are no longer limited to 3x2 configurations. You can do 2x2 and 1x2. And that 1x2 will give you the option of opening up hatches at ease because it only requires 4 of those discs to pop open a hatch. And if we go downstairs to the basement, the best way of holding that kitchen hatch is by throwing every single one of your impact grenades sky high. And if you can change the 1x2 configuration, well, now you can kind of bury and move those X-Kairos to positions that those impact grenades will not be able to destroy. And then as soon as the attackers have the high ground of that hatch, it is open season. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. And Maverick bans, I think, are also going to be a little less common moving into our next season because nitrocells are no longer destroyed by electricity, which means you can throw an electrified wall as Maverick is drawing his lines, and boom, the Maverick is either going to die or lose a lot of HP.
Spiker immediately bringing out the Montaigne. I feel like this is probably a 6 pick. Yeah, you don't bring Monty as your opening pick without him being swapped into. It's just not something that you want to have the opportunity for the defense to counter. We'll have the 6 pick on the defensive side of things. Your Cade into the Goyo. I don't think that could really be categorized as the, Monty denial. Maybe you could kind of reach and say that it would be, but I don't know if I totally agree with that. What we'll see in this first CCTV defense is the philosophy that the plat wall is getting open no matter what. VaLe are going to concede this. They don't have the Cade to stop that. And even if you bring the Cade, there's the relationship between the Maverick that JJ is bringing that's likely going to mean that wall gets open post-haste. Instead, I think the focus will be surrounding trying to deny the other vectors of control on the map and using in tandem your Maestro and Valkyrie to try to get that actionable intel.
So let's go back to the point that I was making early on about Maverick dying to nitro cells. There are 2 reasons why Frozen can be opening up holes in that East Plat wall. One reason is just to make the Maverick life just a little bit more difficult. The other reason could be for extra sound. It does look like a smiley face, so they could be saying hi, but most likely it is to allow the nitro cell to propagate on the other side of the wall. For whatever reason, the soft wall stops projectiles going through the wall, at least when the Maverick is in play. It doesn't make sense, again, from a physics standpoint, but that's just the way the game works. So if you make those murder holes, you can almost guarantee that your nitrocell will find its target. It's going to be easy work for JJ as he continues just to Swiss cheese this wall.
Yeah, you don't have very much luck if you try to argue with the way that Siege works. There's not a whole lot of substance going on in that discussion. Hypers, already claiming the opening pick. He eliminates Adapt, who looked like tried to come in from the logistics side of things. Was that a wallbang? I have no idea how he just eliminated the sledge. There's just a hole. He was just firing willy-nilly through, and the SAS operator fell victim. Great opening kill. That's exactly the way that you want to start this off. A set of frag grenades is now gone. The sledgehammer cannot create openings in the logistics wall, and you don't have the L85, which is quite a manageable weapon that you always want to have left in your arsenal. You combine that with the man advantage difficulties and Project Neo being put in a position where they need to secure a trade frag. This could be quite a difficult first round to get over.
Marmalade will continue that abuse as she collects one with her Alda. That was outside by the plat wall. Things are getting a little bit chaotic in the bomb site, though. As shots are being exchanged, Project Neo trying to claw their way back from the huge man disadvantage. Spiker being droned in by JJ, making sure that there isn't any lurking off-site pressure. Spiker's sole goal here is to try to set up a crossfire from the other side of the map, either pushing up through top red or trying to take the challenge in through Rafters. Rafters are going to be very difficult to do simply because there's deployable shields. The other option he has is starting to utilize that vertical play. And since Ashe has been reworked with an extra breaching charge in her back pocket, she can send all three of those charges up in traditional places where VaLe will be playing, like the A-bomb chassis as well as that L-shaped desk. Now VaLe's going to be a little less comfortable on their bomb site. They're going to have to leave towards the east over by red. And if Spiker knows this, he can take those gunfights.
Neo have to make their adaptation quickly here and decide what will happen. Spiker, he rotates around. I think he's probably going to run up to the cross rappel over there and try to deny many defenders who are positioned here inside, but it's shut down. The plat wall coverage won't mean anything. A 4 versus 1, only Oni left, the new member to this lineup, to try and get the clutch. With 10 seconds, it's not happening unless there's a miracle for the ace. He'll find his second through the wall, but trying to peek the crossfire, Hypers and the Maestro deep there at top red won't work out, and VaLe find their first round. Great opening picks and consistency not to give away that man advantage.
Project Neo's round just went downhill as the bullets hit the wall and their whole strategy hit the wall. They weren't prepared to have an opening duel that they just lose through the wind. Now, we've seen plays like that before, with Melusi placing her gadgetry on one of the tables, and when somebody drops through that hatch, it gives a large audio cue for a while. A clever defender can go for that swing and get the kill. Now, Melusi being banned, you don't have that option. Sure, you can bring out a Legion, but when the hatch opens, you can just preemptively pre-fire. Maybe you can catch an attacker falling down like Santa Claus, and this time, Santa Claus delivered their presence. Gym Bedroom, the tertiary bomb site, will be what VaLe elects to go to in round 2. We're going to see also a unique lineup of operators. Alibi is going to be in play. Is she going to be bringing out impact grenades or the deployable shield? She has access to both, and it will be those impact grenades. So because of that alone, she is going to be placed over towards the east by Cashbox to allow her to have a little bit more fluidity when she holds into Cash, because she can destroy all the attacker hard breach that is placed over by Cash.
Keeping a keen eye on the placements of these mirror windows, we'll have, I imagine, one here inside the bathroom. You almost never see mirror brought not to place one in this position. It'll make the wall process extremely more difficult, and even getting that jacuzzi wall open is not the end game. You still have to deal with the mirror and use the hard breaching utility, which Project Neo does not have a whole lot of ranged options for, to get that second wall open. I think the primary focus has got to be JJ getting open that jacuzzi wall to allow the Selmas to transpire, but the hard breaching process is such a difficult balancing act, because not only do you need to get open that jacuzzi wall if you're going for a split take, you also need to create this opening as well to get the sight line deep inside of CCTV, because attacking this objective, you cannot leave CCTV as a free place to defend, because the defense, VaLe here, they're gonna swing with every opportunity that they have. We already saw how aggressive and calculated they played on the CCTV round, peeking the main breach with no hazard, and it worked perfectly.
Project Neo's going to have to rotate one of their harm breachers on over. It looks like it's going to be JJ on that Maverick. He starts to cut away that wall. Now, there is no wall denial, so he could also just open up the wall with Oni, calling that rotation, utilizing those Selma charges. But they have yet to make that identification. Instead, their drones catch one out over by the gym rack. Hypers falls. A bad positioning all around. We usually see one sitting behind that mirror window, but since that was preoccupied, they elected to not go for the roam. They sacrificed one of their best operators to the win. Now, sure, you can make the argument that Mira is a slow 3 armor operator, but access to the Nitro Cell will be critical as we enter into Doomsday.
And disadvantage for VaLe because of Hyper's overpeak, looking to try and contest the wall. Spiker moves in below, going to try to use his breaching rounds to create an opening in the floor, but Aphers is keen to peek this, preventing Spiker from getting any kind of bathroom dominance as the Valkyrie still lurks, preventing the Ash from taking main stairs control. Project Neo starting to stall out just a little bit as they try to get situated inside of their plan, but the alibi fells Spiker, thus evening the man count, playing expertly through the holes that the Ash herself had created. VaLe are playing this very comfortably. They're not overextended so far, and Aphers is still able to actively defend here inside of the bathroom. He'll get the kill on a JJ and dodging out. Now he'll have to worry about X24, who's having quite the difficulty clearing this alibi Prisma right close at the window. Adapt tries to challenge in. He'll get frozen. Control of construction now in the 3 versus 3 with 30 seconds left. Oni drops off of the breach. Not sure if he's going to go below or maybe attempt to repel, but either option is going to further stall this round. He has the diffuser. He needs to be the man inside the objective if they want to get this done. Aphers does find Oni in a 1-for-1 trade. They both kill each other, but this mirror window prevents Adapt from moving forward. The frag grenade locks off that position for some time, but Psychosis just immediately returns to it. Missing an opportunity, the sledge will challenge through. Marmalade goes down. The diffuser recovered with 5 seconds to get in. It's Psychosis. He'll have to make it happen. He gets the first frag. Adapt goes down, but he plays it passive, allowing time for X24 to complete the plant. And now the Zofia bailing off. The Jaeger not able to connect the shots as the walls create a transparency that he cannot see through. X24 with the clutch in the final moments.
I was thinking to myself, the way to break this round down, Project Neo was playing on an island. They really weren't synergizing together, particularly in the dying seconds of the round, but all the mistakes that they made throughout was just fully went out of their head. They realized that their only objective in this round was to put this bomb down. They put their minds collectively together, and they got that diffuser. They ended up putting it down, and even there was a miss there by the sledge, unable to kill a Jaeger as he's rotating back up. It was still just enough to delay access to the bomb. Perfect read. And the same coin can be said to the defense of VaLe, where in their soon-to-be post-plant, they weren't playing together as teammates. They were away from each other. Marmalade solo pushing down the red corridor is just a recipe for, well, the attackers to punish you.
You got to work together, especially in those scenarios, because if you stack those two advantages, low time and the coordination between your teammates, that's just such a deadly cocktail that Project Neo would have massive difficulty fighting against. And unfortunately, I think they just played that a little bit too passive. Psychosis hit an excellent shot to deny the sledge's cross coverage, protecting the plant, but he just allowed too much time for X24 to bail off the defuse and to get into a better position. There was so much uncertainty surrounding the murkiness of that 1 versus 1. Because the wall was not fully open, VaLe didn't have an incomplete intel on where the Zofia was, and it's positions like that that are so difficult to fight in. And if maybe VaLe had just worked together and had not separated each other by having one player push wildly down the gym hallway, we might have seen a different result. But moving forward now, we'll look to the basement as VaLe hit their rotation.
We're going to see Mira once again. This is not the first time that she's appeared in week number 1 here on Club, and we've seen a lot of rosters experiment with where they want to place these Mira windows. There's always one over by blue, but is it on the northmost wall or is it on the westmost wall? Well, it always depends on what angle the defense thinks is going to be pressured the most and what angle is going to be best for you to swing and challenge those attackers. But there's always another mirror window, usually towards the west on the triple wall of Church. Now, this is another area where rosters are debating on which is the best place to have it. Do you put it in the middlemost wall and then leave the others open? Do you reinforce the 2 to the north and leave the southmost one open so you can swing and challenge into Moto? We've seen everything. It honestly just comes down to, again, how do you expect the attackers to push? The newest member, though, Project Neo, starting off his push. He ends up losing his life as he falls, but at least his teammate gets a refrag. Spiker on the confirm.
Good pinch there for Project Neo to eliminate the Mozzie and trade out their teammate's death. Wonderful Nitro there. Eliminates Adapt. Frozen gets him. 4 versus 3 for Neo, who now stand in a disadvantage. The Sledge eliminated, who tried to play so precariously in the vertical game inside the kitchen. The loss of the ace might be a difficult prospect, given that the hatch opening process, Chief, not the easiest, with your Maverick, who is likely going to be dead in the next few seconds. He stops to pull out a goo mine, it looked like, and Hypers immediately hits the swing. Now, having retaken full control of Dirt, Project Neo have to find out what they're going to make happen. The Ashe and the Zofia, two very strong attackers, but Spiker moves through and Hypers, he just did not predict it. The Ashe goes down and now X24 forced to clutch up once again. Good shot there on a Frozen, some nice sportsmanship as well as X24 runs like mad. He doesn't know where he wants to go, and he doesn't have control of the defuser either. Two factors that don't exactly mix well together. The defense has full control. They play spread out. Marmalade has the mirror window here, and this is just going to be so difficult for X24 to try and confront. Luckily for him, the barbed wire has already been cleared, but another element slowing him down is the goo needle in his leg. Trying to peek out, he has to be very careful about when he pulls this needle out, otherwise he might leave open an opportunity for the Jaeger or the Legion to swing. Marmalade still holds firm inside of the Arsenal room, and X24, he has too many attackers to fight, too many defenders to fight even at once, and even given a 4-leaf clover in his pocket, it would still be a tremendously difficult task, giving VaLe their second round.
Project Neo, they like to be swift on their executes, and they like to grab map control as quickly as possible. But just looking at their attack throughout that round, I didn't see a single drone be utilized. Even on the confirmed kill that Spiker got, he pushed that based off game sense, not on information that a drone had. And that starts to get a little bit concerning. Because if you're a smart roster, you can move your defense around in a fluid manner and always be bypassing the information game of the attackers. So we're going to have to continue to watch that throughout these rounds. Now, sure, you can make the argument, since we did see a drone-style denial in round 3, that could have been playing into it, but it looked like it was just a lack of communication in one small area. Going back over to CCTV, we've seen this before, but we've also seen the Monty BT 6-picked into the Ashe, but now actually shown here in 4.
And looking at this from the Project Neo point of view, I think the decision to bring the Monty checks out. Last time, they attempted the most default comp strategy to get control of CCTV, a split take. The problem with the split take is that Project Neo did not have a firm grip on their control of the plat wall, and from what I remember, those 3 rounds prior, X24 had lost a gun battle, and that gave up the cross-coverage control. This time, bringing the Monty could work out a lot better, but Afer has a most unusual strategy. It has been a long time since I've seen this one go down, but you know, I think everyone in Twitch chat, the second they see this, of course, because of the delay, they're gonna be like, okay, you know, Afer's trolling. I don't know, Chief. I think this could work. You can't repel very easily. Frozen could toss a Nitro out.
I mean, you're absolutely correct. This is a dangerous position to repel up from. However, the one asset that VaLe might not be prepared for is Spiker on the Monty, because he can bypass all of that control, taking Garage top rafters, and then all the effort, all those mirror windows that you put over to the east, well, they're going to be nullified because Afer won't even be able to play that power position. You also keep in mind, if you utilize explosive devices from underneath, whether or not it's a frag grenade or an ash charge, you will also nullify that position. Hypers tries to get very aggressive, eating himself out the billiards window, but it was being watched by a flank drone, and then the watch was turned into a gunplay. Loss on VaLe's side as they have to fight the remainder of the round with a mound disadvantage.
Not the greatest way to kick this one off. X24, lifelines below, trying to clear Afer's Mira, but the Mira herself not keen to give this up. One boost that the Monty has, VaLe don't have an extension playing vertically, and now they don't have the man advantage by a big margin. You have one defender, maybe even two, that are going to be completely occupied by the Monty. And being a former Monty main myself, you can't ignore him. You can't just say it's a Monty, you know, he's harmless. You know, he's a fluffy kitten. No, Monty can un-ADS, and if you play like Psychosis is, you can run a real risk. But Spiker is still playing this quite passively. He's not wanting to give it up. Instead, holding his position. A red grenade indicator. Frozen is down. Psychosis. So little HP. At any moment, the Monty could unshield himself and force the Jaeger out of this position. Psychosis moves further and further back, but it's the tandem play from Deputy Blast that gets him done for. Marmalade in the 1 versus 5.
Leaves Marmalade. She has access to the ult. That's 82 bullets worth of punishment. But one of those operators, that Monty, can take all those bullets straight to the shield. He's flanking from behind. Marmalade's in a dangerous position. The bomb's going down by JJ. Those impact grenades do hardly any damage to Spiker, but the bullets to the wall is just better. X24 claims a headshot on Marmalade. And just like that, the wall himself with Spiker is just too strong.
I gotta say, I'm loving the Monty strategy. Project Neo recognized that it was getting control of plat wall. You know, it's usually a given, but Team VaLe recognized the bounty of playing around that wall, and I have to give them credit for having the cojones to play the double Mira strategy. It's strats like that which we don't see all too often, and you might expect to see in, I don't know, Road to FPL or Ranked. But the Monty worked perfectly because there was no vertical extension, and so you can't hold a crossfire because of just the way that Monty works. Nobody bottom garage, only players inside rafters. With the Mira window being open, that's another deep angle that you're constantly worried about, and it's a lot of anxiety for a player to be under in that Raptors position, which is so very difficult to play.
I was expecting the change from VaLe to be bringing out the Legion just to directly counter the Monty. However, their counter is going to be a little bit more subtle. It is the use of this Kaid. One of the power positions for Project Neo is actually opening up the garage walls. Afer is going to be placing all of his charges on the top rafters by R1 and R2, which is already put there. This means that if Project Neo wants to open up bottom garage and do a multi-prong assault, setting their frag grenades down range, they're going to have to be able to break those down. And that means either hucking a frag grenade all the way out from the east garage door, which is just very unlikely to do. Plus, you incorporate those ADSs, it becomes even harder. Or you just try to bypass them altogether, going to a different side of the map. So we're going to have to see how Project Neo drones that out and elects to create a counter strategy.
Very similar occurrence to what we had on round number 1 with the shotgun holes and the sledge to make the hard breaching process for the Maverick a little bit easier. Afer is hiding close at the wall. It looks like he's eager to try and contest this. Prone, Nitro in hand. Watch it. Is he going to go for it? JJ tries to jump back, though still taking a massive amount of damage. It does not completely stall the hard breaching process. Luckily for VaLe, no Monty in this round that Nitro might have been more valuable in using for. They'll open up a large sector of the wall, but the map trick is still yet to be completed. Meanwhile, Spiker coming in from the master bedroom, isolating construction and adapt in a very similar position to what we saw it be his grave in the first round of Clubhouse.
I was critical on different rounds of Project Neo having a lackluster drone economy, not sending their entry fraggers in appropriately, but here in round 5, Spiker, he was directly behind that drone. So if that drone spotted anybody that would have been free information for Spiker, and we've seen him play phenomenally and have most likely been converted into a kill. With control of the west side of the map, Project Neo has established one of their crucial crossfires. They're struggling over on East Platwall, but they're eventually able to open that up. Now you have a 180 crossfire. But Project Neo, with sub 90 seconds left on the clock, they can make their crossfire even better. They can start to open up other angles or push in from different opportunities, whether or not it's through Ren or through Garage. You also have the option of the vertical play, which 2 members of VaLe just found the bad end of.
Manpower on site conceivably low here, with Hypers trying to go for the blue window peak below. Oh, it's so close here. He knows there's one player hiding out there. X24 far on the balcony. Playing this one quite slow, but Project Neo have so much man advantage that with everything set up the way that they have it, this attack could be perfect, depending on how they manage to close it out. Spiker has rotated below. He provides the denial for the plant, but the one thing he doesn't quite know about is that Hyper still exists down here inside of blue. This will be a big tell, whether Spiker can close it out or the Valk can find the opening. The shots onto the Valk. Oh no, there he goes. Hypers is felled. 2 versus 5. Another situation where VaLe have a mountain to overcome. Oni tries to crouch through the opening, but the smoke will stop him in his tracks. Frozen finally getting a kill on the round, stopping this from being another flawless nightmare, but Oni successful on the plant, and Frozen needs to make a move. Project Neo with round 5.
A perfect textbook attack here on Clubhouse. And if you are a pocket analyst and you want to build strats for your T4 roster, look exactly what Project Neo did. The way they took map control with their drones, the way they opened up the wall, they applied pressure at every single scenario. They took real estate almost for free. And that's going to be on Team VaLe, who allowed Project Neo to take that real estate. I like when I see rosters expand their defensive out, whether or not it's just temporarily into master bedroom, snipe away a drone, and then you can go for that retreat. But if you put your entire man count into the positions that are going to be playing when they go to their air quote post plant, you're not going to be successful in a round, simply because, well, the attackers have already put you in a terrible crossfire because they have control of the map. That Ying pick was very interesting from the side of Project Neo. They have brought it out before, and that's just to allow them to open up that kitchen wall. Spiker will place those Ying charges flat against the wall, flashbang everybody who's underneath B, and like that, you can bypass all impact tricking and guarantee your Maverick or your Selma charges open up that hatch.
We got a poll running there, so you'll see it pop up, so make sure you respond in chat. Is Spiker a girl or a boy? Much debated topic inside of the tier 3 scene, and you know, I had an interview with Spiker once for AEL, and I don't know, he sounds kind of like a girl, but taking the focus back here, Project Neo.
That was the most savage thing. I'm sorry, Streets. I interrupted you, my friend. Please continue. I just had to insert that.
Okay. Spiker's going. What? Spiker's going all the way up to gym, so I guess this is like a full clear for Project Neo. I guess, yeah, so he's just making sure that there's no, you know, people hiding in corners or any extra weird stuff as the drones roll through and confirm everything. Looks like top floor is absent of most defenders, and it's more of a focus on the site hold with a little bit of flare tossed in here or there. The Valkyrie, where is she? Hiding at the top of the blue stairs and looking to contest with her attacker opposition just there by the small steps. Hyper still waits here. The drone rolls through. I really like how Project Neo just played that. They didn't just walk into her. They waited until a drone was there. Even if, you know, you might not expect anyone to be in blue, you have to make sure that you're being thorough.
And we're talking about being a little bit more aggressive in the hopes of sniping away a drone. Hypers did that perfectly. He shot a drone and he rotated away. No pressure whatsoever. And what he accomplished was he wasted about 7 seconds and removed 10% of the drone economy. Now he's left for another day to send his nitrocell downrange. He's already ripped the Velcro on it. Now he's just waiting for a attacker to find the bad end of it. X24 will be credited with the first kill, but the preset kill was already found. The nitrocell did exactly what it was designed to.
time ticks lower and lower as Marmalady's full white. This should help to speed up the hard breaching process. It's very difficult to keep that hatch closed with your impacts when you can't see anything. The nitro is tossed, or maybe that was a coup mine. It's hard to tell, being that it was launched so far. Oni is repositioned to the main staircase. Neither team holding a man up. So it's 4 versus 4. Just a pretty default execute where getting the site control and pressuring out the defense is going to be the largest factor to think about. I'm also kind of considering what manpower is inside of dirt. Both of the frags go down. This prevents the defense from flexing out and it allows JJ to go for the plant. We'll see the Cade, Nitro launch through the air. It stops JJ. Oh no, it lands too short. JJ's allowed to get the diffuser down, and now the offense holds all the leverage. Hypers gets JJ now 4 versus 3 as X24 sprints across the map. But Psychosis, he eliminates Spiker, and now the plant, it's being disabled. It's being denied. It stopped for a brief moment there, but it's only one attacker left. X24, he's got to fight so many members as the time gets lower and lower. Shots tag into the shoulder of the Legion as it's 18 seconds to go. He's got to pull that goo mine out, but there's no explosives. They need to peek this. They have to challenge, but the plant, the disable, it stopped yet again. They're trying to revive. It's a slaughter below the hatch.
Incredible showing by X24. He never gave up once in this round. He knew that he had the high ground, and all he needed to do was maintain it for as long as possible. And VaLe, they had the option of just tossing bodies at X24. Instead, they elected to do none of that. They just decide we're going to go for this diffuse, and we're just going to hope that the high ground isn't good enough. It was beyond good enough. And in that scenario, you send all 4 of your players up the central stairs, and they just take refrag after refrag, and they hunt X24 down like a bloodhound. But if you sit passively in your bomb site, well, you'll get slaughtered. And VaLe has been in that scenario multiple times across multiple rounds and multiple bomb sites. They need to be proactive on their defenses.
I have to say, some of the best Clubhouse attacks that I've seen in a long time from Project Neo here on their map pick. You'll have the round history come up there. 3 in a row. Currently, Project Neo command the man advantage. Not the man advantage. I don't know where that came from. They have the momentum going in their favor, and they're moving onwards. They're marching forwards, but Team VaLe, they're not really, I mean, they're getting frags. They're not just completely having donuts. Hypers has 6 and 4. He's going positive. Aether is only barely negative. X24, though, Chief, he's 11 and 1.
And, you know, a talking point I wrote down in my notes was how even everybody on Project Neo was. Nobody seems to be really outperforming everybody. And that's a hallmark of a good roster. X24 said, Chief, I am going to prove that I am the dominant force here on my team. We're going to have to see he's actually able to convert that into a kill. He goes for a spawn peek, but he spots one. His bullets never actually make that connect. And sending it 11 and 1. X24 is just hungry for more.
Doing the math on that, that is nearly a 2.0 KPR, which is an incredible statistic to command for X24, who has gotten his team through this match in round after round. The gym clutch, the efforts he just did there to make sure that the plant wasn't diffused. X24 has so many highlights that we're going to look back on when we recap this match. Bullet holes being used here. Spiker, a lot of damage onto Hypers, but he'll rotate through, and the headshot lines up through the wall. Spiker tries to flee. The sledge will stop it from happening, responding with aggression for the early damage dealt.
That right there is Challenger League game sense. He knew that Spiker missing his shots would have no choice other than rotate. He wants to get as far away from that engagement as possible because he wants to delay time, not necessarily take opening duels. And honestly, a brilliant play. Nothing much else needs to be said. It's going to be how that kill is converted, though, into map control. You have control of the west side of the map. Construction is now the real estate of VaLe. But what they worked so hard to achieve was just lost like that. Aether and Psychosis have fallen. The west has been lost. And will VaLe continue to put bodies towards the west, or will they now try to put emphasis over to the east plat wall?
Marmalade, bit of a desperate play there, trying to pre-fire the open door in the hopes that maybe Project Neo overextend and over-aggress. Wonderful shot there, Frozen peeks and shoots just at the right time. And now a frag sent flying through is captured by an ADS, allowing time for Oni to swing. The frag grenade is readjusted, or perhaps not. It clears the deployable shield, but it's not enough to take out the Maestro. Here goes the impact trick, the first one. It looked like it was actually just missed there by the Maestro, wasting a crucial amount of utility. No more impact grenades left on the side of Project Neo means now that the construction wall is open. Oni aggressive as ever as the Alda tries to soar through, but the smoke canister, it chokes the life out of Hypers. 2 versus 2, even man count for VaLe. Can they get this done? X24, he's still 11-1. He's still ready for it. He's got the nitro to try and deny the plant. As the time gets lower and lower, VaLe link back up inside construction.
X24's old name was X24 King. Is he going to still have the crown at the end of this round, collecting shots? He finds Frozen, forced to go to the pistol. Marmalade, she has no HP, and she's forced to go to the pistol. But the SMG-11 ends up finding her first. Round 7, the first defensive stint of Project Neo is delivered to them in a victory.
Gotta say, that round had just about everything in it. A fantastic opening kill, you defined by the game sense of Hypers, knowing that the defender was out of ammo and had to flee, and there was only one route that he was really going to go about that. From there on afterwards, Project Neo, seeing that they were at a disadvantage and that it was a CCTV defense where inactivity and passiveness can sometimes mean that you lose, they turn the aggression dial up a few notches. Not only the 2 response kills that we saw immediately following the death of Spiker, but also that smoke canister combined with the Alda just ripping through from Adapt. It locked the player outside the cast door in position because he knew if he had tucked and run, he would have had to deal with the Alda ripping through his back. Stand and fight, and you die to the gas canister.
You and I have casted a few very attacker-sided clubhouses recently, usually when aggro is in the mix. And when I saw the start that Neo had, I was starting to think, you know, maybe the new meta is this map is just going to be permanently attacker-sided. I mean, the way aggro plays are so swift on their execute, you can make an argument that both these rosters here in this lobby, VaLe and Project Neo, they can emulate that same type of mindset. But we have yet to see that. Now, to be fair, VaLe's only had 1 round on attack, but their round was just loose. They made far too many mistakes. And again, we're going to be returning back to that drone economy. We never really saw them walking in their primary entries. Oni has found himself in a terrible position, unable to even find a Valkyrie camera underneath that motorcycle, but the Harley Davidson eventually gives way and the camera finds its target true. Good job on Oni.
I don't know if he even got that in the position that he wanted. I think he wanted it like further back behind the bike, but I guess that's just an afterthought for the many hilarious events that we've had for the final day of week 1. Good Valk cam there, Oni ready to get into action, but he's gonna have to deny the hard bridging process, and it won't work because the ace, I don't know, he's just better. Hatch is open, Selma's successful. VaLe with the first step in their checklist now complete. With the hatch open, Project Neo can no longer play comfortably inside of Arsenal, as is to be expected. Oni still has his black eye camera here hidden under the hood of one of those machines inside the kitchen, so this could allow an opportunity for maybe a nitro. And if that Valcam isn't cleared and this comes down to a 2v1, maybe with somebody hiding up here protecting the defuse, that could be critical intel that maybe we would have needed to see in one of those previous rounds where X24 was hiding here inside kitchen. A lot of vertical play being open, Arsenal floor, roof even, just completely compromised. But that's not enough to give VaLe the lead in this round. They have to develop another vector of pressure, whether that's coming in from dirt and trying to isolate somebody in dummy corners. It's not going to be easy. Project Neo have players in near every one of these bunkered up positions. JJ, a shotgun, and 3 smokes to hold off a dirt take.
So Sticky, you actually have the answer to your question. Very much similar to a thermite charge, Selmas have a propagation of damage. So the little tentacles do not get destroyed by electricity, only that one little center canister does. So if you throw the tentacles on the hatch will actually open up. It's only when the canister hits the electricity is when that gadgetry is destroyed. So that's how the hatch was open. It's allowed a nice avenue, but bullet hole is answered by bullets himself. X24 loses his life, Adapt gets a free refrag. The rosters go back and forth, but it's the attacking team of VaLe who's in control of round 8. They had the man advantage, and they're about to have full side control. They drop from the hatch, but the diffuser's now surrendered. Frozen's the last remaining member of VaLe, and he has to retrieve that diffuser. JJ has rotated outside, upstairs, into meat lockers. He's going to play the vertical play, try to utilize the Anakin angle, but the diffuser is just rotated away.
It's closed.
JJ's on an island. He can't get back to his bomb site, and now it's a post plan for JJ sprinting down the stairs. He loses his life. An incredible round for VaLe.
He rotated out of the dirt tunnel. What? I don't know if I've ever seen that. JJ he knew that he had to do something, and so running out of the tunnel was the play that he made. And luckily for VaLe and Frozen's clutch efforts there on the 1 versus 1, he was able to retrieve the case and get it to a safe position. I am just lost for words after the events of that round, even in the beginning with the Valk cam.
That was quite something, to say the least. When I saw him rotating over to dirt tunnel, I was like, oh, this is a curious position to be in. You really don't have the coverage that you probably want. I've actually seen that rotation be made before. That was back when we had the 3-second run out timer, not the 1 second. We've actually seen defenders be able to get to that vertical play quickly. The thing is, with 1 second time, it just doesn't pan out the way you'd want. Project Neo has learned their lesson. They're actually going to be going upstairs to the tertiary bomb site of Gym. They were very close to winning downstairs in the basement. It just came down to their last second gunfights, and it just didn't end up going their way. So I'm always on board for rosters going to different bomb sites, though. I hate when I see teams just repeat the bomb site over and over again without changing up their strategies. Because if you run the same strategy time and time again, especially back-to-back, the attackers, the primary IGL, is going to laugh you all the way to the bank because he doesn't have to utilize any of his brain power to counter strategy.
Yeah, you're right on the money. If you're repeating strategies, you're either trolling or need a few lessons from JJ on how properly to IGL on either side, really. I mean, if you go for the same attack push, I think there's a little bit less of an opportunity for that factor to come to play. But if you kind of set yourself into these routines, I've seen this happen on console a little bit. You know, if you go about opening the vertical play in the same single way, the same route every time, there's a chance that you might get pre-placed Nitro. But that's not something that really happens terribly too much on Clubhouse. 1 in a million, you'll see an opening kill with the Nitro. Kind of right across from the freezer door running into kitchen, but this focus is on the extension. Marmalade already dead. X24, he went for the rat play and it worked bigly, playing up through the oil drop. Your ace now gone. This creates kind of a problem, given that last time we saw this site go down, there was both hard breachers and their utility was exhausted completely.
I'm perplexed by how VaLe didn't expect X24 to be downstairs. He got the kill in Oil Pit after he was droned over by Blue. Where did VaLe expect him to go? Rotate over to the north stairwell? Sure, he could have done that, but you have to dot your I's and cross your T's to make sure that strategy of flanking up through oil doesn't happen. And unfortunately, they never dotted any of their letters. Instead, they drew circles as their members fell early on. Only 3 of them remain. Now, they have some utility. Those frag grenades could be great at pushing away the players over here in Cash Box, but instead, they're not going to drone in. They're going to elect to take these gunfights. Adapts the solo hold here. He ends up losing his life, but he's wasted just about 2 minutes. So even though he's dead, he's accomplished his job.
Definitely so, and the cost-benefit analysis works for Project Neo in that scenario. Given that Marmalade and Hypers were already both taken off the board, you don't have the Jacuzzi wall open, which is the biggest problem that I see currently. Frozen has 3 tanks and a little bit extra left in the Surrey Torch, but I don't know if that's enough or if there's enough time to get the wall open, even if VaLe want to go for that play, which doesn't look like the current focus. First swings the corner, the toxic gas canister, but he just charges through it, eliminating JJ. X24, though, just prior with the kill onto Frozen. A 2 versus 3 for the soft destruction duo as Psychosis links up with his teammate here inside Logistics. Diffuser pressure up close at the stash wall as they still try to battle their way through onto the site. But your worst nightmare in the clutch scenario, the Alda as one of your key oppositions, and X24, who we know can get it done. He'll find the first, and he'll get the quad kill. A huge play for X24. Project Neo seize control. Match point.
They seize the day, carpe diem. And what on earth is VaLe attempting to do? That was just lackluster coordination all around. They really didn't show me, at least, that they had an understanding of how Project Neo was playing that defensive hold, which is perplexing and terrifying to say the least. That cash box extension, that way of defense, has been in Rainbow Six Siege pretty much since that bomb site was invented, which is pretty much 2 years ago, more or less. And the fact that you don't know how to send your drones downrange, you don't know how to cut off lines of sight, is just concerning. And again, that's one of the most standard takes in all of Rainbow Six Siege. And nothing that Project Neo did was perplexing or out of the ordinary. And I don't want to take anything away from Project Neo's win, but they ran more or less a default strategy. Default strategies work, and it was proven in that round.
A lot of things done right there by Project Neo, and a few mistakes, but I feel like the weight of the mistakes, chiefly the fact that the Jaeger did not have the most comfortable crossfire with his teammate, the Goyo, who looked kind of flaky, to be honest, the Goyo. He was kind of bouncing back and forth inside construction. He wasn't sure which angle to watch, and the Jaeger had to do double duty. That just wasn't enough because X24 was on a riot. He had gotten the opening pick, and even if VaLe had that kill and it was comfortable, that still was only the 3 versus 4. And the time expended, you said it perfectly. It was 2 minutes that he had just spent sitting in that room, and VaLe expended trying to clear him. It's all about the time waste on Clubhouse. The more that you get, the better that you'll be once it finally comes down to the execute. And VaLe are a strong team, and one that can adapt and pivot on the fly in moments like that where they don't have enough time. They almost made it happen, but they just had to run into X24. And you always talk about the sprint challenges, and I think that was not an area where it was really excusable. I think it made sense. You have to move in. There's not enough time to walk and to play slow. Here we go for the hard breaching process. X24 tried to go for the pre-fire. He was expecting the wall to be open. The Surrey Torch is lagging behind the process just a little bit here.
Unfortunate. Well, there's a nade. Hello and surprise. A package deal confirmed by Amazon. The second nade will go down range. X24 has lost his life. And I don't know if that was off a drone, if that was off audio cue, or just off game sense. Nonetheless, a perfect way for VaLe to find their impact into round 10. But there's members of Project Neo lurking downstairs. It's JJ, swings with the SMG-11. He finds the kill. He breaks Reese in the process. And you never expect to find an SMG-11 there. But it's also JJ, the man of unexpected talents.
You never expect an SMG-11 to win there. That's like a 20-meter engagement. I'll give it to JJ. It was a risky and it was a bold play, but I mean, it works out. It's 4 versus 4, and VaLe are stalled in their progress again. Drones roll on through to what seems like this might be the next stage of maybe a bottom-up take. Gonna try to get control of garage and then push in to take control of rafters. JJ inching further as Spiker holds below. They better have learned their lesson from last time where X24 was hiding down there. He'll pull the nitro out. We're waiting to see if he lands it, if he manages to sink it onto Marmalade, who still lingers at the doorway there. Psychosis is watching below, but he does not check it. He moves up the staircase, and there Spiker goes, the first frag. The first player charging up for Raptors control, but now Spiker, he's the only defender left standing, isolated off the objective. Pushing forward, he spots the backside of Apers for just a moment, but now he has to move. He has to get going. The shotgun in close proximity. He looks away at the wrong time. The plant's halfway done. The Nitro sent on through. It does not stop the diffuser from going down, but Frozen is sent DBNO. Spiker into the clutch. The 1 versus 2 with the SMG-11 in hand. The first slug, shotgun shell sent through the wall as the arm of the ace is spotted. Perfect crosshair placement from Spiker, but the time runs lower and lower, and eventually his health, his time, and his chance in this round, they're all gonna run dry. The Ash plays this one perfectly, peeking her head around the bomb chassis to give VaLe 2 in a row.
A spontaneous round for Team VaLe. They did so many things right. Spiker stuck in a rock and a hard place. We'll start with him. He had nowhere really to go, but I would have liked him to see him on that first floor and go for the nitrocell denial, simply because Project Neo had access to multiple hard cameras that could not be destroyed in that clutch, which means since you have a red ping, you have access to your nitrocell. Why don't you go underneath, nitrocell the planter, and then work your way back up a stairwell and then try to challenge it? Or you have the other option of staying down below, shotgun in hand, and reconfirm anybody that is trying to grab that diffuser. Now, you could say, well, those red pings were on individuals that are in elevated positions trying to plant on top of Catch Box. However, those pings were flat on the floor, which means that was not an elevated plant and a plant that a nitrocell could have killed.
Hindsight is 2020, and VaLe with that round now step into the home stretch of their comeback effort. They need these next 2 rounds. They cannot afford to lose these 2. If they can get 2 in a row, that means we're at least going to see overtime, and we will exit the territory of the 3-point regulation win for Project Neo. They can do it. I know that VaLe can make it happen, especially with the recovery that they oriented in that attack, even despite having JJ just go for a 1 in a million play. The nitro, or rather the frag grenade we saw sent early in the round, was smart. It completely eliminated who, Chief? The top performer, the key player, the one who has statistically the best scoreline so far this map.
Max, do you mind showing over by Oil Pit for me? I think there is an arcade claw on one of the barbed wires down there. I saw X24 send something down range. I don't see it electrifying, so he ended up grabbing the hatch. So I think he threw his Cade Claw there temporarily to pick up a few drones, because drones cannot drive through electricity, and then you, well, put it on the hatch and prevent the attackers from ever opening up blue unless they take vertical control, opening up with a Maverick. And that's one of the most important things, and why I really get angry at rosters for banning out the Cade when Maverick is on the board, because Maverick, it just says, oh, you have a kite, you have electricity on the wall? It doesn't really matter to me, because I can just cut around it. Like he's doing now.
I mean, yeah, Maverick is the perfect counter to Cade, and it just... If you have both of them left up on the board, it's fine. It's even. If one is gone and the other is there, there could be an issue. Especially when it's the Maverick gone and the Cade in play. That just makes it terribly difficult. Huge opening nitro. That under the hood camera, again, causes problems and makes you lose out on your main hard breacher. The ace is gone. Look at the gas reserves for Frozen. 3 and what is that, a quarter? 25% left in his current tank. I don't know if that's enough to get open the hatch, period, or open up anything else. They have the stock hatch open, Chief. Probably the least valuable of the ones that you would want to have open. Afer creeps down the staircase, and he rolls just on past him there, but I don't know if this has totally been spotted yet. They don't have intel, but Afer lingers longer and longer. The shoulder is spotted, and he gets the frag. Instantly swaps around Afer for a 3rd kill. They just line up for him. Only a single defender left as this round is snapped out of existence in a moment.
Nobody expects the Ash to do Ash plays, and just like that, Afer's gonna claim himself the 4K in the round. Sneaky Beaky the Snake works his way through the long corridor. There was nobody watching the pre-established camera, and as a result, it is free and open season for VaLe. They are fighting and trying to get themselves back into the overtime point.
Jeez.
We are currently going into round 12. We are so close to achieving this, but VaLe is not out of the woods yet. And let's go back to my talking point in round 8. I said we've seen some very attacker-sided clubhouses It was a 4-2 split for the attackers of Project Neo, and VaLe is one step away from delivering their own 4-2 split on attack.
The ace was gone. The hard breach denigrated, and I mean, the conventional way to win that round, kinda in the rearview mirror. What did Afer do?
I'm not sure.
Crouched down the hallway, obliterated the defense, got a quad kill. I mean, that's one way to win a basement attack.
We're going to find ourselves on a quick timeout as there seems to be some issues going on in the lobby. You're going to be blessed with our faces for the time being. And honestly, if I have round 11 every single round I cast, I am just going to be just kind of crazy and giddy the entire time with a big smile on my face, because those are the rounds we live to cast. Those are the rounds as viewers we want to see. The Hail Mary plays that should never work. The high risk, high reward strategy that is such a risk that if you make the mistake, you lose the round and you instantaneously lose yourself 3 points. Now, VaLe's in a fighting contention to guarantee themselves at maximum of 2.
For the first half of this game, we were talking so much ad nauseum, really, about X24. I think he had, was it 11 kills? Maybe even 13 by the end of the first half? He's kind of slowed down. I think he's gotten 4 or less since, and it's Afer who's really started to kick things into high gear. You give him the R4C, you tell him where to push, and he's gonna kind of just blast his way right into the site. For VaLe to have an entry fragger like that backed up by a consistent and coordinated core of their team, that could lead you to success. And, you know, earlier in Clubhouse, we had this discussion, I think it was right about round number 7 or 8, where, you know, we were discussing whether this was Project Neo just balling out on Clubhouse, or if it was just more of an attacker-sided map. So far, I think we're kind of lining up for the latter of those two options.
You know, maybe it's an opportunity to bring out the Legion, maybe the newest addition to competitive Siege, that coveted Aruni. And the way she works is she puts her basically electric bars or laser beam bars down on a doorway, and the attackers won't be able to enter in from that position unless they throw a drone downrange, throw a grenade, or any type of tossable utility. That gate will fall away. It'll be turned off for about 20 seconds, and then the defenders can decide to shoot it back if they want. That would be a great counter to an aggressive play, and you could also put those on hatches. So if the attackers want to go for a quick and swift hot drop, you can do exactly that. They're going to have to burn their utility once again after they've opened up that hatch if they want to go through that avenue.
Being that it's 2 attack wins in a row now for VaLe, the full barrage of sites are available. Out of all of them so far, quickly referencing my notes, CCTV and Gym have been consistent wins for Project Neo, and now we kind of have arrived at a different point of view where CCTV looks more shaky, and it's the tertiary site that comes into focus. Last time we went here, the big focus point, stall out, and how long things took in that round, because it was 2 minutes when you got into construction. 2 minutes gone. Not acceptable.
I have a suspicion, though, Sticula, that the stall out was the fact that Marmalade, the primary hard breacher, lost her life working her way up the rafters stairs because there's lurking off-site pressure over by oil. If Marmalade is alive, she is going to be the operator to watch this entire round. Where she ends up opening up walls, whether or not it's this eastmost plat wall, whether or not it's top rafters, as well as all of Cashbox. If she is able to do so, Adapt won't be able to play as comfortable in those positions. Because part of the problem for VaLe was the fact that they didn't know how to enter in the southeast side of the map.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money there. And one thing that can't happen again is the early loss of the hard breach. At this point, I think it makes sense to have Ash, Zoe, Sledge with your hard breachers being the ace in the Mav, but you can't afford to lose, I think, either one. So maybe what needs to happen is an operator that flexes into this composition with some With a hard breach gadget, the first and I think most valuable one that would come to mind is maybe, I don't know, Capital for Zofia, being that you have some more utility that you can use to get players out of position, which sort of is the role of Zofia's lifeline concussions. Just to have sort of that reserve of your hard breach, or just don't die.
I like the latter. Just don't die. It is an FPS after all. Your utility is important, but your body count is maybe more important. Adapt is going to feel a little bit of pressure, as the east wall was Maverick Trick, but he's going to stand his ground behind his Goyo shield. He doesn't want to leave without a fight. He wants to either burn more utility, which he will not have the option of doing anymore since they bypassed them altogether. Hypers finds a kill. The pre-made holes through construction is Adapt's undoing. It's a complete reverse Uno for VaLe, as they have mastery of the East.
Much better timing here, and now with the opening kill, the man advantage to back their push. We'll see them charge forward. One player up on an elevated angle here inside logistics. The drone moves right past him, but the gig is up for JJ, and he will drop back, now knowing that the intel has been given away. Offsite hold. 2 players down below. X24 may be thinking about pushing up from the red staircase. Frozen is nearby in that position, and the Z-pings are through. They know that one player is off-site. This could result in one of 2 things. An instant reaction to try to clamp down on the site and push now when there's only 3 members, or maybe something else in terms of a roam push. We have an instant push in. Psychosis is down. JJ is gone. Your smokes are reduced. A Spiker looks to go below the hatch. The Nitro is tossed up. It lands just near Afer. It gets him. Man advantage equalized. A huge play for Spiker there. X24 and the Goyo link up at the main staircase as they try to challenge forth onto the players inside logistics. The Sledge, he peeks his head around the corner, and X24, he tries to go for it, but a good trade and positioning there for Spiker, who creeps up to prevent the entry. The Maverick Frozen, he goes huge. Spiker and X24 taken out for the count. And now Oni forced to go for the clutch. He'll find the first. Leaping over and out through the rotate. There's 12 seconds for Marmalade to decide to push or go for the plant. She chooses the first, and now she's gone. A win for Project Neo, and what a barn burner.
The newest pickup, the member that was holding the seat to this spot, has found himself as an asset. Oni gets credited with keeping his team alive and banking them 3 points. And again, the way these best of 2s work, you have to break them down as almost individual best of 1s. So if you win one map, that's 3 points to you. If you end up going into overtime, the winner of OT takes 2 points. The loser takes 1. And a perfect way for Neo to start their way off here in Season 5. It was bananas all around, and I expect nothing less as we move to our second map of Villa.
Well, the way that we're looking at this now, it might appear that a tie is closer than a flat-out victory for the Challenger League hopefuls here of Team VaLe. Project Neo pushed their way through on Clubhouse with some phenomenal attacks and some strong individual play closing up their defensive half. Villa on the horizon. Team VaLe's pick is next, and there's a lot of expectations to be answered on that map, whether it's Team VaLe being more comfortable on their own map pick and having been prepared to play this, or perhaps Project Neo pulling a rabbit out of their hat.
So we're highlighting this map going towards the attacker side, and honestly, even though VaLe ended up losing, that was still the motif of this series. And it's hard to pinpoint what is forcing this map to be attacker-sided. Is it the fact that we're no longer in utility consumption simulator, so the defense is having problems of wasting time? Well, you could make the counter argument that you can bring out drone denial. That might be an avenue to push, but we don't really see defensive teams electing to do so. Instead, they're still stuck in the roots of these just anchored down, bunkered down, and we'll just hope that we can win gunfights on the bomb site. And it just hasn't been working. Even when you have offsite pressure, just look at the defense pushing up these stairwells. They're getting absolutely gunned down. Both defensive rosters found themselves in that problem.
One point that you had talked about, I remember specifically on one of the cash rounds, was Project Neo's frags across the board are fairly equal. No member is really substantially far behind when you're doing the math on it, and I think that gives them a lot of a boost going forward. In some matches for Project Neo, we have seen Adapt frag out and go crazy and kind of push his team forward over the line. In other games, we've seen results similar to this, where it looks like Project Neo are fully dialed in, their playstyle is working, the coordination is there, and JJ is running without fluke on all of his attacks. I'm really curious to see some of the statistics on this first map regarding the KPR, regarding the survivability, you know, how many people were able to stick around throughout the entirety of that, and here we go. We'll jump into the strategies. For the top performer on Team VaLe, 1.27 rating, though not able to shake and get past X24 with 1.62.
Now, Oni, again, the newest edition of Project Neo. Not 100% cost like we saw in our previous series, but a 91% cost is phenomenal. If we go back to last season, I remember it was about a 60% cost was average. So sitting at 91 is a perfect way to be. Now, Oni's KD isn't anything particularly impressive, sitting at 9 and 8. However, what cost is, it is a representation of a player's impact throughout a round, not necessarily just clicking heads. That's why there's only one component of killing. That is K. Now, sure, you can make the argument that the trade, the T component is, but that's just synergy.
Yeah, it's being in the right position and working with your teammates, which I think also kind of contributes to being a strong player overall. It's a difficult factor to really quantify. You know, how do you describe and how do you get into numbers a player knowing how to play good Siege? It's not just fragging. It's not, you know, being X24 and going plus 10 overall. It's being able to work together with your team to accomplish that certain goal. And you look across the board, Neo, they managed to get 3 plant win conditions on their attack rounds, and I think that does speak to the ability to coordinate in their offenses, which compared to working up a strat, playing off of each other on defense, I would say is more difficult. Going into the next map, being able to work together to dominate those attacks, to work and pivot on in the middle of the round and be able to change on the fly, that's really going to benefit you on such a wide map where there's a lot of different ways to go about your attacks.
So, Sticula, is today going to be rosters winning their own map pick, or is it going to be the Neo show? Again, Neo is a team that will not be eligible for Challenge League, simply because they're comprised of individuals who are under 18. But as you're mentioning, VaLe is a Challenger League hopeful roster. Many of these members have been in Challenger League before, and we're just going to have to see how that storyline continues to pan out here in this best of 2.
Yeah, I'm really curious to look forward what might happen on Villa, whether Neo can charge forward and take some of those attack wins, or if we'll see, you know, maybe a more defender-sided showing on the map. But given that, we have Villa ahead of us. Before that, however, we'll be going to a short little intermission, so stick with us. The action will resume just shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're resuming with the final series in week number 1. It's Team VaLe versus Project Neo. As you can see across your screen there, we just got done with a full 12-round regulation victory, 7-5 for Project Neo, who now march forward under their opponent's map pick with hopeful eyes on taking a series-wide win. I'm Sticula. Joining me in the booth is Chief Casts. What a first map we just got done with. I have some high hopes for Villa.
I'm expecting Villa to play out very similar to how Clubhouse did, because after all, they're more or less sister style of maps, especially when we see plays like Afer working his way down a corridor. Well, you can replicate that in classical hallway. You can replicate that over by Big Ben, grass, jungle, or Zulu, whatever you want to call that position, and sneaky beak your way in through China as you execute on that tertiary bomb site. We can see plans like that work out perfectly. However, that is a double-edged sword, because Villa is known for testing IGLs because the off-site pressure that we're going to be seeing from these defending rosters. They're going to be trying to flank up stairwells and take those gunfights. The difference between Clubhouse is the stairwells on Club can be very claustrophobic. They have hard stuck walls on the other side or railings. And as a result, you as a defender don't have a lot of opportunities to strafe or dodge around bullets. But most of the stairwells, other than Astro, you could just sidestep around the balcony and fall off the railing, which is going to give you an advantage as a defender because there isn't a movement penalty to strafing.
You know, I never thought about the stairs like that on between the maps, you know, how they work out. Obviously, we all, you know, we on bank, nobody likes to try to fight somebody that's walking up the stairs because it's just the most difficult. It's just the most difficult thing. I'm not a fan of railings. We have the operator vetoes. Villa, maybe Nomad or Jackal could come through. Usually, compared to maybe your Clubhouse or even Oregon, there's less of like a you must ban both hard breachers. Like, you can get away with banning something that makes roaming a little bit more easy, but that is a double-edged sword because eventually you're going to be on the attack. You're going to be worried about the flanks. VaLe banned the Nomad, which is curious. Usually Project Neo are the team that I've seen ban Nomad when they play Villa.
Yeah, we've seen a lot more Nomad bans recently, and I've been boot camping with a few rosters, and also, those scrims are showing Nomads being banned, which is perplexing to me, because half the time I see Nomad being utilized by an attacking team, it doesn't work for them. I think I go on this joking rant every single time I cast, because half the time I cast, defending teams are just shooting the air jab and getting free kills as a result. Rosters have really not learned how to get the advantages of those air jabs by placing them in positions that won't be shot by a Jaeger on his belly trying to scoot around an air jab. I saw a frowny face from you when the final ban rolled on through, so Cade, off the board, makes sense because he can put them in vulnerable spots.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about that, mostly because of the relationship that you see between your Cade and your Maverick. For Villa, Mav does not get banned a whole lot, because usually, if you don't have the Nomad ban like we have here, that slot is taken up by one of your ranged hard breachers, which are just easier to work with on Villa. When you're looking at opening up walls, let's run through a few of them. The triple wall inside statue between master bedroom, the hunting vault wall going into the hunting vault in 90, the two sets of walls that go between bar, aviator, and as well study. The floor directly aside from all of those walls is soft, and that makes nitro selling just, it's such a breeze. And that's why ranged hard breachers like your Ace and your Habana get to use a lot more of their utility. Aviator first, and we have quite the wacky composition. Your Iana, I think, makes sense. The Zero makes sense. Jackal can work given that roaming is such a problem, but it's all three of them coming together at once that really have shocked me here.
I'm always a fan of Zeros. I love Zero to death because we're talking about defenders shooting those air jabs. Well, most flank watches want to be active in the round and be aggressive in the round, and that's really not your job as a flank watch. Your job is to, surprise, surprise, watch the flank. And the best way to do that is honestly cycle in through cameras. Because if you're gun up, you're only looking down one narrow corridor. But if you're constantly going across camps, you're going to have a better understanding of how the defense is moving on a round. And when you have access to 4 cameras that act very similar to a Valkyrie cam that you can put in elevated positions that the defense just won't be prepared for, that is going to be a strong asset that you have in your back pocket.
So looking at the Project Neo setup, they don't have as much of a hold kind of over buy statue, more of just your kind of stock standard 90 extension. The Vulcan shield is present, the many number of ADS is protecting it, and a nitro prepped. Spiker doesn't even need to be on a camera or, you know, waiting for anything else. He can just sit here and immediately tell Oni, somebody's rounding the corner. Can you detonate it? Yep. Okay. That player is dead. And now you have a body there inside of short. Afer detonated a Vulcan shield that looked like maybe through the floor. I wasn't exactly too sure how that went down. Oh, the nitro's spotted though. And so now that's not a problem. Oni swings the angle. The arm is spotted, nearly connecting there. Afer so low on HP, but he's managed to cross the angle. The backside of Ehana just spotted there, and the shot through the wall, not able to connect, and she'll still win that out. How does that happen? The headshot on the Oni and Frozen meets the same as he guns down Adapt. Project Neo stand down by 2.
Both frag grenades from Afer has done their job. They found the first Goyle shield. The second one will also confirm, but that wasn't from Afer. That was from Hypers himself. And like that, Project Neo has 2 of their roster left. Spiker's on so little HP, and X24 is not doing much better. Spiker down but not out, finished off, and Hypers pushes into the bomb site, finding himself that final kill. VaLe, a brilliant attacking round. They took full control, and they stopped all resistance.
That's a dominant way to start it there, and it's gotta be, for me, in that round, the efficiency of VaLe's take. It's so rare that we see the attack force stacked up in 90 short with 2 minutes and 10 seconds sitting on the clock. That's such a swift margin, and it has to be down to the way that we're seeing VaLe get their intel together. They know there's nothing stopping them in Trophy or Master or Statue or Astro. It's all been cleared, and so they don't have to slow down and constantly move through and be ADS as they check every single corner. They can instantly move up to establish that front line from which to operate and to attack the setup on AVG. Very strong start from them. Quite a powerful attack, showing that they understand well what needs to happen on Villa. Them bringing the Zero and the Ionic consistently, I'm a big fan of this.
So EJ, the former coach of Pride, wasn't known for one particular operator, bring out the Frost. Why that's important is because Oni, the last remaining member of Pride, is now finding himself on the Project Neo roster. With Frost in play, it could be a hybridization of 2 great teams coming together to just create counter strategies and create things that the attackers may not be prepared for. Frost has received a lot of love recently because, well, her gadget maybe not always the best, as they are bear traps that the attackers have to literally vault into, and then the claws of death grab their ankles. But having access to a primary weapon that is pretty solid with an angled grip and a 1.5 times sight, as well, and most importantly, that pocket shotgun coupled with a deployable shield, she can be an operator that just wastes a lot of attacker utility. And even if her gadgetry isn't particularly great, you as an attacker have to be looking at the floor just to make sure you don't step on one. And that means when you're looking at the floor, you're not looking at the defenders' heads.
X24 needs to play really careful here. As you can see, the frag was being cooked to toss up towards him, but he TKs Hypers. You lose out on your Sledge, who I think tried to walk into the bathroom. Oh no, he misses the shots. That should have been a triple kill for Oni, but he just destroys the opportunity by potatoing and by getting confused about which target to shoot. That could have been the nightmare of all nightmares for VaLe, with the TK compounded by an expertly timed flank, but Oni just trashed that opportunity.
The second round in a row that we've actually seen, well, the SMG-11 recall be a little bit too much for Oni. Maybe he needs to be finding himself away from that shotgun SMG-11 role and take that MP5. The MP5 is actually a really good gun, particularly with 1.5 times sight. The 416 is known for being a better gun as it's getting a headshot credited. Frozen now falls, but Spiker will also meet the end of a defensive gun that's now been on attack. It's a round of perfect headshots. Psychosis through the floor. X24 is now fallen. VaLe in control of round 2 by a +1 man advantage, but they're still going to have to find themselves an insertion point as they start to take Astra.
Nearly stepping into that frost mat for X24 beyond the grave. Adapt tries to fight this battle through the wall, and JJ caught off-site. Psychosis, his third kill. The Zero flees out of the bathroom. They give it up. They know they have site control, and that JJ, the onus, it's all on him to go for the push. The first gas canister immediately transposes his position, allowing Psychosis to ready himself to line up right through the floor holes from Project Neo's own site setup.
I think Hyper said it best right there. Nice shot to his teammate that claimed him with that frag grenade. That was a roller coaster round being dictated by the fragging ability. And if we take a round at face value, the attackers should always win gunfights simply because they are better in gunfights. Their assault rifles will have a higher caliber of round, which means they'll do more damage. They also have access to more long-range sights. So if you take positioning advantage away, the attacker should always win. And looking at that round, Project Neo never really put themselves in a positional advantage where they're lurking in places that they should win kills. The only caveat to that was Oni's flank. And to his credit, he probably should have got those 3 kills. But mistakes happen, and mistakes were made. And unfortunate to Oni, he's in a bad position. Off the SMG-11, so a step in the right direction.
You got to make sure that if you're struggling on a particular operator or role or weapon or whatever, and it's in an actual game day match, that you communicate that to your team. You know, you can't just lock up and stay silent. I've had a lot of comp matches when I used to play where you'll have one player, you know, whether it's in a scrim or even an important match such as this one, where you just keep getting killed. And you have to be able to work with your team and to communicate that I am uncomfortable and that I cannot effectively contribute to the team if I'm playing on a given role like this. And I think that should have happened, and I think did happen for Project Neo. Now you see that, you know, the players who are fragging are given roles that are more accustomed to doing so. And, you know, if Adapt or Oni are having a bit of a struggle, they're given operators that are easier comparably and can better suit their needs. I think that makes a plenty of sense here. Project Neo are down by 2. A good attack start for VaLe, but still could use some work on the Project Neo side. Pre-fire from X24. Zofia pushes right through, though. Frozen not wasting any time to get this control. Strong extension from Project Neo could waste a lot of time.
Stickula, I love the point that you made right there. But returning to a point that we are making on Clubhouse, if you go back-to-back to bomb sites, make sure you change up your strategies. We were talking about defenders at that point, but something that's important to note is the attacker should also try to do something different. VaLe did a bottom-down clear in round 2. Now they're doing a south-to-north clear. It was working out well for them, but it seems like Project Neo smells blood in the water. They've identified this perfectly, and like angry sharks, they've found the diffuser, and they're starting to marry members of VaLe one by one. It's now a 1v4. There's still 100 seconds left in this round, and poor Psychosis, forced to just head for the hills and rotate back to his spawn.
Yeah, this looks like maybe a tack timeout, unless Psychosis... You know, I hate situations like this because you always want to root for the underdog and you never know what might happen. You know, if Psychosis just flies up the stairs and goes crazy like Afer was doing on the earlier map. And we'll just wait to see. He tries to rotate up and Spiker's just camping. Okay, nice angle being held there. But I guess we could talk a little bit more about that round. I like the extension. Neo struggled in the opener because of the expert use of that window repel over by 90, but it was not enough to constrict the roam, and I think they kind of almost sort of kneecapped themselves with the Nomad ban there because you can't lock off the main staircase, and that creates an uncertainty that somebody could be lurking up the stairs. It divides your attention, even more so than having to worry about a 90 flank or an Aviator study door retake.
And Psycho was trying to, be Giga Brain there. Oh, they'll never expect me to rotate to the basement. And Ma XD, our observer, was joking about the previous series where he never had to observe the basement once on Villa. It is such a low traffic area of the map simply because there's not a lot to do down there. Sure, you can put a pulse there and grab free information. You can utilize it as a highway to rotate, but at the end of the day, it still isn't that important. And now, since I brought up the point, MoXD has to show us that, hey, the basement does indeed exist. But going back to what we saw there, why wouldn't you just ash breaching charge or flat breaching charge that one circular hobbit door? Because sure, you can say, oh, he was trying to be quiet, shooting gun bullets towards that wall and opening it up.
Chief.
Yeah, but that's a loud noise.
Chief, are you really analyzing him opening the wine barrel?
Yes, I am, man. Don't hate on bullets.
You gotta give credit to Max. Max is one of the best observers that I've worked with. He's also just like a really nice guy, and I love just sitting in the call before a game. You know, we're all vibing, and Max is joking back and forth with us. He really makes casting just such a fun experience. Focus back to the round for now. Afer bringing the IQ. We've really seen the full array of operators. X24 is going for a risky move with this peek out through the window, knowing that Afer is outside from our point of view. That could be a problem that develops. Hyper sledging below. So I wonder what this, I think it might be like to create a deep angle, or, Chief, do you know?
Maybe just to increase his angle coverage? I mean, which is what you said. I mean, or rotation in through piano. I don't have a better guess than what you said earlier, but I'll double down. Yeah, look at the angle he's trying to hold here. So that's the answer to your question. He wants to have that tight angle up through the stairwells. Afer gets swung as he shoots a Valkyrie camera, but whoever was tasked with that swing wasn't brazen enough. He would have got a free kill. An unfortunate scenario, but nonetheless, Project Neo, they're all in their bomb site right now. They're almost shaking in their boots. They have so little real estate to their name, and VaLe is starting to full stack towards the south as they start to flood up their stairwell.
Completely south-focused push right now for Team VaLe as they look to get into study. The lack of the hard breach, except for on part of Marmalade, is going to constrict their execute to 2 primary entry points. Going down 90 and walking in the game's door, as well moving in to try and come into Aviator. The problem is they have mute on the board from Spiker, which makes that secondary hard breach gadget relatively useless. Team VaLe do not have the opening pick with which to back their execute. Hypers is now downed as Adapt is quite pressured, hiding at 90. It looks like the hard breach gadget was used successfully. So now they have 3 entry points onto the site, but Spiker hops out of the bathroom window. He finds Psychosis, and Adapt claims A for holding long at 90. Adapt's life is cut short. VaLe in a 3 versus 4 by the slow end round. They'll all reorient. Over here by Aviator, Frozen maintains that rear security, trying to shut down any possibility for Project Neo to flush and flank outside of the site. The Zofia makes a questionable maneuver, or rather the Sledge, as he readjusts, actually rotating and repelling outside the building. Meanwhile, his teammates are still engaged with the many members of the Project Neo defense. I don't know if there's a route back into this round, but if it's any player who could find their way there, it might as well be Marmalade. Spiker, the headshot lands on the Hypers, and the X24 guns down to 0.
Well, we hype Marmalade up, but unfortunately she finds a headshot to her body, and a bad position to be in. And I am gone on record time and time again, if you're attacking Villa, sure, you have the option of doing a linear execute where you put your entire operator count over in one position. In this case, it was towards the south. But you don't have a crossfire, and you're just basically putting 5 gun barrels in the same direction. You have so little coverage of the map, Project Neo is going to slaughter you in every single swing. And surprise, surprise, Project Neo goes for those swings, and they win those duels. We need to see a more dynamic attack coming out from VaLe, which they've been more than capable of doing. They've demonstrated on Clubhouse, they just can't get tunnel vision.
So, speaking about dynamics, I kind of want to go a little bit more in depth on that. Are you speaking, about going from an attack maybe comprised of 2 different cardinal directions? Or are you talking, maybe the introduction of more hard breach utility?
all the above would accomplish those goals, because more hard breach utility will give you more angles to look in. And if you come from a different direction, let's say the north, or at minimum through 90 window, the way the defense is going to be moving throughout the map is going to be limited. And again, if you want to establish some type of crossfire from the south, at minimum, it's 90. And that right there, it shuts down all of Classical Hallway. It shuts down all of Red. But when you 5-stack south, it doesn't give you anything.
If it looks like he might try to go for the small, I guess you call it old office, the old office take, where you kind of creep in through the garage downstairs and flank up from pantry. A nice parkour there from Psychosis. He leaps from rooftop to rooftop. Looks like we're playing a different Ubisoft game, Assassin's Creed now, as compared to Siege. You have few members sort of lurking nearby on site. Hypers has moved in. You have all the various elements that you would usually comprise a dining attack. You have your sledge bringing the vertical game, plenty of use, but here goes Afer, who closed in. He'll go for the Jackal track, and, well, now they know. Oh, Adapt, he's just aware. I mean, was it a sound call? Was it maybe the intel that the Jackal track? You always talk about that, where it works against you. They just read perfectly into Afer.
I would go to the latter, where the Jackal was actually an asset for the defense, where you knew exactly where he would be, where the only option that your footprints would be, over by the west side of the map, or pardon me, the east side of the map. Frags starting to pop off on the top side of this floor. Shots are being exchanged, and Project Neo, particularly X24, will be the loser of that exchange, now finding himself down but not out. He did waste enough time, and Nitrocell gripped and ripped. It finds its target, but not quite the way Oni would have wanted. Only a few HP, 35 being removed from Hypers, which means he'll be able to fight for another day, and more importantly, continue to swing that sledgehammer.
Adapt eagerly contests it. The Zofia jumps up, but the top right corner of the EOTech just barely blocks the position. Frozen drops his drone down, but it's missed. Adapt, though, still gives up this position. He could have had a free kill opportunity there if there was not the drone actually having been shot. Or versus Reed, Psychosis. His second kill holding the vertical game down. Eager as ever, but Oni has the response. Hypers is dead. Psychosis on low HP, but few members, Project Neo, not exactly at the peak of health themselves. Still trying to get every last drop of damage or kills out of this vertical game. Psychosis dodges from hole to different hole looking for any of these options, but it seems like for the most part, Project Neo have given this up. The Z-Ping comes out for the Zero to charge through the site and to go for the plant. Marmalade is not actually going for it yet. Maybe waiting for one of the players to move on through, but Neo read right into this. They know what's happening. They're going to hear the sound call, but are they going to be able to get this done? 2 versus 2. Psychosis, he trades it back, but Adapt, he's in close proximity. The first buckshot. Adapt for the triple kill. Psychosis, he backs off, playing it passive. He's hiding behind the washing machine. There's nowhere else he can go. Adapt with the quad kill, the clutch. He makes it happen.
Just cycle that shotgun Sin round down range until you or your opponent is dead, but the buckshot is better. What a round! Where was the post plant? I mean, their whole strategy there was to put the bomb down and then sit on it like a mother hen. Sure, you just laid your golden egg, but defend that egg from a position somewhere that isn't on top of it. Rotate out through laundry, retake that vertical control. You don't need to double stack like that. That was, again, VaLe tunnel visioning, finishing like they did back in round 4. They see the objective in front of them. They know exactly what they want to accomplish, but the way they're attempting to accomplish is leaving them open to so many scenarios that they don't realize until they're actually being challenged.
This game is really keeping us on the edge of our seats. Immediately, we kicked it off. VaLe claimed 2 attack rounds, but since then, it's been a flawless rotation for the defense of Project Neo, who now stand up by 1 with the opportunity to take a 4-2 lead. You know, it depends where you're coming from on this map. We talk so much about whether a map is defender-sided or attacker-favored, and, you know, sometimes I think everybody just gets tired of it. It's up to the teams and their individual statistics, their performance, and their strategies at this level of competition. I think more than just because a map is defender-sided. It's that effort that you shell out on the playing field that gets you those round wins. So far, Project Neo, they are moving their way there. And in that previous round, it was Adapt who really drove his team home. It could be another one of their power players again in round number 6. We'll have to wait to see if that is the case, if Project Neo can claim the 4-2 split, or if we'll see an even starting point when Project Neo pick up the attack.
And I just want to put our tinfoil hats on for 1 second, Stikula. I wonder if the new meta that we're going to be seeing, because Ubisoft has decided that they want to remove the defender's utility, or at least make the attackers a easier job when they remove that utility in play. Is that going to put us towards an attacker-sided meta at some point? Because we've only had one attacker-sided meta, and it's infamous, to say the least. That was Ying, Glaz, and Lion. And actually, it wasn't even attacker-sided. It was the only meta that was a 50-50% win rate for both rosters. It's a full sin from Jukebox. Frozen is now down but not out. Adapt prompts the Nitro Cell, but it doesn't find its target, which means the down but not out Frozen can be brought back up to 20 HP with enough life to claim some headshots, but one bullet sent his direction, collecting his body, will be enough to remove him from play.
I have to say, I don't think Project Neo played that as well as they could have. I think Adapt was left out to dry. There was nobody working with him to try and hold off that cross, and if that were to have happened, that could have been a 5 versus 3 for Project Neo if they had simply been able to hold off the Ashe, because we saw how aggressive she pushed. There wasn't full intel. It was only the one glimpse of the replicator that had moved through, had, you know, told of the position of Adapt hiding around the corner in Tetris. Fortunately, that'll give away the man advantage early. They don't get away with it scot-free, though. Psychosis, tiny sliver of HP taken off of him, and Frozen, being that he was down, he's picked up at 20 health. More good Valk cams from Project Neo. We've had a lot of fun ones so far this day, and JJ finds his way on the board, taking a little bit of damage, shot in the back as he tries to dance around the concrete door.
Spiker still lurking downstairs in the basement. It's on X24 to hold the stairwell. Another down but not out, not being confirmed by Project Neo. A triple kill just like that. The control of the stairwell is in perfect way for VaLe, but Spiker down on that floor. He's going to go for the rotate. He walks haphazardly, loses his life, and now it's on the newest member. The clutch against 4. The Nitro Cell spawns. What? It grabs one. Hyper kills himself with a frag grenade. This round has become very doable for Project Neo to win, especially with those pings. Neo sends those bullets down range, but Oni is unable to even find the damage. Marmalade, she wins the round for a roster.
Such a chaotic round with so many missed opportunities there for Project Neo. VaLe, promoted by the steady hand of the Ashe, they denied it from every different way, and I think Neo were a little bit slow in their setup. It looked like the Melusi was kind of off track. I mean, it was the attackers with control of dining. Meanwhile, she was placing a Banshee on the red staircase. I mean, that's not exactly the best time to go for your setup. We'll swap sides now, as I had previously mentioned. Round number 7, Frozen. He's going to bring the Capcan. This looks like a 6-pick, though. Similarly to what I mentioned on Clubhouse with the Monty and kind of with the Ying, if you're going to bring a Capcan on the first round, it makes sense to kind of sneak it in.
I mean, yeah, sure. Just stick to Capcan. Capcan is the most fun operator in this game. All jokes aside, I can't remember the name of his gun. I know it's like the XXIX something weird 9mm.
PSN.
There you go. What he said. It's one of the most fun guns in game. It's a laser beam with an angled grip. It's just a free headshot. You add a 1.5 time sight, that free headshot becomes even more crispy. And since you get to BM all the attackers throughout the map, it gets even better. When you hear one of those EE1Ds activate and just blow the kneecaps off an attacker, it just adds a nice crispy smile to my face.
Trying my hardest not to imagine what a crispy smile would be like for Chief. But Neo are kind of running a little bit of the same. In terms of the Villa attack meta, what you're bringing for the operator lineups, I think this is probably the one that I would choose. Maybe you could swap out the IQ for another intel op. Maybe the 0 could fit into this composition. But I like the fact that you have the hard reach. For an aviator attack, you need to be able to get those walls open, and Hibana is very good at accomplishing that. X24, a total missed opportunity. One player just leaps off the edge of the balcony, and very lucky for them, the Ash had a breaching round equipped, rather than the R4C, which could have shredded their life force in a matter of seconds.
Control starting to be established by Project Neo. They sent their drones down Wayne just to make sure that there isn't any fishy business going on over by the library. Members of VaLe might try to be studious, but they're going to be studious into their 6-foot grave, as Frozen's going to be the first casualty, but Afer gets that refrag. Spiker is going to be a very important casualty to have. Those impact grenades could be so powerful. We saw the Goyo being teased. It wasn't ever brought out. It was in favor of a quadruple Nitrocell Bonanza style of play. But still, you want to remove all of those hard-held positions of those defenders, and those impact grenades can be utilized in vertical manners as well.
One thing that might fly under the radar here is the loss of Hypers' Nitro. I think he had tossed it out on the veranda earlier, or perhaps in another area that I had missed. With Frozen gone as well, you only have 2 more. No smoke to deny the plant at range, but an overpeak costs Psychosis his life. So difficult to play in that back bar position once the hard breaching process starts to open up. Adapt has rotated to come in from the rappel. This could weaken Hypers' grip on the 90 long angle. X24 is looking to maybe swing there eventually, but look at the sight control. Marmalade in Hunting Vault can contest the entrance coming through that one area of hard breach, and Afer could perhaps play the long angle through the opening in the wall to deny a games push, or could whip around to guard the study door. Marmalade, however, evens the man count. JJ is gone, and Neo starting to stall out as they're having a lot of trouble getting onto the site, and Adapt has yet to root this player out of 90. In fact, kind of being indecisive about what he wants to do. The Valkyrie has given it up, but so much time has been wasted by all of these maneuvers. Marmalade taken down to 50 HP as Afers will begin his flank. The opening in the wall creates quite the option here, and Afers will make it happen. Oni is gone. X24 falls 2 for the Mozzie, and now only Adapt is left to pick up the pieces. G8 in hand with 3 opponents at once. It's the weapon that you might want, but there's so little opportunity for mistakes here. The Valkyrie, she's got her pistol and the IQ just the same, but VaLe, they will pick up their first round of defense.
Interesting to say, but this is not the first time that we've seen a linear defense in through study, where the attacking roster just pushes in without any crossfires. Now, the difference between Project Neo's attack and VaLe's attack was we saw some of that 90 pressure, but it wasn't really accomplishing a lot. The reason behind that was the 90 pressure was kind of a knee-jerk reaction to what was happening on the other side of 90. And if they made that rotation, 60 seconds sooner, that swing in from the Valkyrie 90 would have been caught, it would have been grabbed, and it would have been killed. That's the most important thing, because you had the long angle looking towards red. If you're an IGL, you have to be thinking 3 steps ahead of your opponents. And when you're reacting to them, you almost lost the round.
I think maybe we could do with more hard breach. I can ask a lot, but it seems like that round was just, they had bar control. They had games, like maybe barely they knew that it was being contested from the long angle back at 90, and as well the player that was hiding in Hunting Vault. But I think if they had a thermite there, you open the wall, maybe you put Claymore or just simply a flank drone on the study door, that allows you to push in so easily to get control and to actually plant there. What does it matter if you take games control if you don't do anything with it? And Project Neo kind of stalled out because there was no easy route into the objective. Bringing your thermite, or I don't know, any of the other hard breaching options that we have left up on the board can give you that easier entry route, the path of least resistance.
I'm actually glad you talked about the hard breachers, because I have it in my notes. Where was the ace? Because if we saw an ace in play, you could have actually smoked off that gun vault door and sent it in through U-bar and attempted a plant. Now, we did see Nitrocell dominance in that round, so most likely would have spawned a Nitrocell an answer, but at least you're attempting to be active in this round instead of sitting back over by study in a passive manner, having the clock start to click down, and then realizing, oh, we've wasted our entire advantage of the clock. We're just going to attempt to push down classical. We're going to attempt to show our bodies to a breach. Again, I'm not even sure what they were trying to do there because they lost so many of their assets in that round.
So given that we have the timeout called by JJ, do you think we're going to see, the introduction of more hard breach, or are they just going to, kind of keep running with the same operators and try to work their magic on statue or dining?
My guess, and again, something very similar to what we said earlier, it's going to be more of a dynamic attack, trying to establish more crossfires from different positions. We're not going to be seeing AVG again for 2 rounds. We're going to be going over to Trophy or downstairs in the kitchen. And we'll start with Trophy. That is, well, a map that you have, or a bomb site that you have a lot of, well, ways that you can push from. Most rosters are going to be pushing in a linear manner from study and then making that rotation over to master bedroom to apply your 90-degree crossfire. Some rosters are getting a little bit more creative and sending somebody over towards the Astro Star window to establish even powerful crossfire. But to be successful with that scenario I just described, you're going to have hard breach utility. And if the defense is expanding into planes and games, you're going to either find yourself in the opportunity cost of, do I burn my hard breach on planes and games, or do I burn it on triple wall? And if you want to bypass that altogether, you bring out multiple hard breachers.
Well, we'll have our answer here. Only the ace being introduced for Project Neo's next assault, going over towards the north side. I think this is Trophy in the statue. So Project Neo, more of the same. Can't say that for Team VaLe, who have introduced Ella Shotgun and the Aruni. Chief, what's your take on Aruni?
Well, I was going to talk about Ella Shotgun. The FO12 is one of my favorite guns in the game. It's just so fun to use. It Swiss cheeses. It just slaughters everything on the other end of your gun. Going to Aruni, though, she is quite the roam operator. She is, well, a machine of destruction. Since she has a cyber arm that she can just punch through walls, she can make her own rotates. If she's in a bad position, 4 punches, and boom, she can move through that hole. If she has a hatch that she needs to roam from, same thing. 1 punch, and she's gone. That gives her a lot of flexibility. Here's her gadget in use, or maybe not her gadget, but her secondary ability, or I'm not even sure what you describe this as, but nonetheless, her passive ability is opening up walls with that fist, and going to her gadgetry itself, it's a great way of not only wasting time, but particularly that throwable utility.
Project Neo are hoping to really accept the full berth of this extension. We'll have stack up outside of the study balcony as well, pressure coming in from 90, so you can maybe go for a few chance spray fires through the wall. Eventually, once you get all of this cleared, it's not going to be over, though, because you can see that we have a deployable shield station here at the Red Landing. This is a strategy teams used to go for kind of back a few metas ago, where you would stack up a deployable shield here, so you just waste more and more time. You don't allow the attackers to get this control over by red. The only issue is that deployable shield, with the angle that it's at, is quite weak to 90, so you have to have somebody supporting you, a gunner that you can count on to play at red. And the deployable shield, I don't think you're going to see a defender actually just sit on top of it waiting there. It's going to be more of kind of a piece of utility that you use to swing out when you can. Hypers is found below the opening pick, and one of those crucial nitros gone.
Talking about dynamic attacks, actually having Adapt as a primary diffuse holder is going to say that you can rotate your hard breach over to a different side of the map. The lobby's really starting to pipe off and start to find their kills. It's going to be a double take down that stairwell, and it's just on Frozen, who loses his life. Project Neo on the boa constrictor strategy just sucks the life force away from VaLe.
Anaconda plan just completely picked apart that Red Landing hold, and the vertical play, having Spiker go below and open that wall, was such a brilliant plan. It wasn't reinforced, and so now, Chief, where do you go? You move up Red Landing, there's somebody, waiting for you down the hallway at 90 corner. You go below, the Zophia's gonna just completely shut you down if you try to flank away. That strategy was just, that's gotta be JJ and the rest of his team at work. because you see a strategy like that, and it's the hallmark of a competent team with good leadership individuals really stepping up and saying, this is the strat, this is the weak point, here's how we're going to go about deleting it.
That's a dock that wasn't 6-picked away. The Malusi was 6-picked away from into a mute. We haven't seen a lot of docks, and usually if we see one of the French operators, it is the Rook, since he can tank away some of those frag grenades. Curious to say the least, and Doc's utility. His job is to bring extra HP to his team. He has to pull out his stim pistol, shoot them, or shoot himself. He has the option of rezzing teammates. But honestly, Sticky, how often do you ever actually get to use that utility in a manner that isn't selfish? Where you're in a gunfight, you're like, uh-oh, I'm kind of SOL here. I'm just going to re-stim myself back up and not save it for my teammates.
5 seconds to go.
It's, I don't know, it's difficult because I feel like Doc, you're bringing him because he's a fragger, because he's got the MP5. It's a 1.5x sight, a little bit more of a kind of long range option, not quite your 2.0 MP5 on the Rook, but I think it could definitely be suitable. Project Neo in this attack are completely swapping directions. Last time it was a study overtake. This time it looks like vertical pressure from down inside a dining room. Afer's gonna hold here inside of the walk-in closet, emulating a strategy of old that you might have seen in metas prior. And Frozen is there to try and overstim him. I think we found the idea behind why the dock is being brought. But look at the way that Neo reacted to this. They see the ADS stack up, they see what the strategy is, and they say, we're not dealing with it. We're not going in for master bedroom. We're going to rotate and do the same thing that we know works, that we just won with last round.
This is the hallmark of a perfect IGL. It's so difficult to talk about when to make appropriate rotation. Well, you hit it best, my friend. Exactly what Project Neo did. That is going to be brilliant, but they have wasted a fair bit of time to do so, and they have to start to expedite. Their drones have to move a little bit faster. The most important drone, the Twitch drone, is grabbed and lost. There's only one left for Adapt, and he's going to find himself in a position. Does he want to utilize that drone to remove utility, or is he going to utilize it as just free information that can't jump like a normal drone? Project Neo still a little slow on this execute, and they've actually returned 2 of their man count over towards the east. They want to apply this crossfire and this pressure, and Afer is still stuck in this position. The dock was brought out just to allow Jaeger to hold there for as long as possible, and brilliant holes were opened up as well.
There's the utility burn process, plenty of flashbangs being launched in to try and deplete Afer's stack of ADSs. The problem given this position is that ADSs are not as good as they used to be. Only 3 stops even possible. JJ has plenty of coverage. Project Neo just obliterated this hold. The dock, the Jaeger, the ADS, it's all done for. Project Neo in a complete change of face. They rotate, they establish a presence over towards the south, and even yet still are able to defeat this setup because of smart utility play and the perfect crosshair placement for that player outside the bathroom. Oni on low HP trying to take this control, but X24 claims the life of Hypers. Psychosis and Marmalade both tag on as Adapt is gone as well now, so we've reached the intermission point. A 2 versus 2, Aruni overswings, and the captain of this team still holds the line. Oni on low HP, JJ's gonna be the one to try and get that case put down. Marmalade has no easy route to go from. He'll charge through the Aruni gate, but eliminated by Oni, who sprays him down perfectly. Project Neo push forward.
Marmalade, she tried her best to save this round, but there's nowhere to go for her. And it was aggression answered by aggression. Neither one of these rosters wanted to apply the brakes, and they were doing nothing but accelerating throughout that round. A good read by Project Neo in every aspect that they did until the dying seconds of the round. When they went for their plant, they stopped playing as teammates and they started to play as individuals. They just started to flood doorways, and almost in a manner where they were like, mine, like angry birds trying to confirm the last 2 remaining kills. And well, they were the ones that were confirmed as kills. Now a 2-2 as a defender with sub 20 seconds left on the clock, that is a really doable round for you. And you start to utilize Father Time as your primary asset. However, the same fallacy was brought straight to VaLe, as they were the ones, as you said, that overswung.
Back to Aviator in games, where we will still see only one hard breacher, and I think this could work. It's all about how Project Neo orient themselves. They can't afford to give away that man advantage. Attacking this site really relies on your ability to deny defender positions and use the plant to make the defense come to you. I'll be eagerly watching Project Neo for how they try to attack this. If they stick with their plan, as we've seen in rounds prior, that involves taking study control, or what Spiker's replace drone in statue indicates, that this might be kind of a north to south take, where you're less focused on trying to get into study itself. We'll have all the spawns from the various Project Neo members kind of indicate exactly what we just called out to. This is going to be your master bedroom take. So what's the efficiency of this? Spiker, the long angle through the window. Hypers goes down. Quite an opening kill.
That's probably the most common angle to be held, not particularly on that roof, but just opening up that window. Like, that happens in the lowest level of siege, not in comp, but in like silver tier. Everybody opens it up and everybody just holds that angle. Why? Because it's a highway for the defenders. If it's a slow setup, you're guaranteed to catch them off guard. If it is a roam, well, again, you're guaranteed to catch them off guard. And the Echo falling is going to be one of the most important operators in this defense, because he's primary plant denial. Those drones were hopefully placed in elevated positions already to provide information, acting like a Valkyrie camera. But the new patch, where when you're dead, you can drive those cameras around, has not come in yet.
You still have your Valkyrie kind of hiding downstairs below, hoping to get some use out of her Nitro, sitting below 90 in the perfect position. She waits for Neo to try to take that control. They have the purchase here of the opening kill onto the Echo. 1 minute and 30 seconds is not the best in terms of the timing, but Project Neo are still making progress in getting all elements of their setup in order. JJ will turn next to focus on trying to get this hard breach used. Psychosis falls now. Spiker on his second kill, eliminating the Jaeger. That's a big one to take down, especially given that this round means so much. If Project Neo win this, they guarantee themselves at least the points going to overtime would do. Afer, nice job there on the hard breach removal. Spiker was a little bit too slow to react in the upside down. Rappel frozen, tears Adapt and Oni apart. He's going huge with the SMG-11, completely reversing the fortune, but Spiker, he's a monster himself. Afer goes down, frozen, making a hero play as he charges into 90. Shooting the drone will reveal his position. X24 gets frozen, and Marmalade fills that very same space. X24 to begin the plant. The Z-pings are there, but are Project Neo aware of this? Shots connect, but the Nitro is out, but just seconds too late. It's shot out, in fact, and X24, he's still up and in the fight. Needing to reload. Marmalade spending crucial time here, but in a 1 versus 2, this is certainly possible. She can isolate the individual 1 versus 1s. More hard breach utility being used as Marmalade makes the difficult decision to try and go for this stick. There's nobody here, nearly 3 seconds, but the audio cue, she's baited off of it into the 2 waiting guns. Project Neo with match series point.
3 in a row for Neo. That round was won off probably the smallest thing, the insignificant factor of 1 cut-off drone over by the 90 hatch. That was established by X24 at about the 40-second mark in the start of that round. He put it there, and he never thought about it again until his dead teammate called, "It's a double stack through the hallway. You need to be gun up." And that synergy, that coordination is brilliant out of Project Neo. We've seen them do that before, and they're going to be able to try to replicate that again. It is going to be planes and games. One of the few times that an execute works out for the attackers. Why? Because it was a non-linear execute. The attackers push from the north, they push from the south, and they sandwich the defenders.
The sign of the Jackal here makes me think that Neo are expecting this to be the tertiary hold. I don't know if you would totally agree with that. It's hard to see the value of this. I think there's one use case that you would need the Jackal for when you're attacking Aviator in games, and that would be going below to clear off utility, preventing the hard wall from being open. Last round, I sort of have a vague memory of how VaLe were kind of off-site for a majority of the round, and we've seen that a little bit in some of the rounds before that, but the Jackal could be either really helpful, and he could be very beneficial, or it could be pretty useless.
I have to agree with you. I believe the Jackal is just to increase that vertical clear, right? Because he's access to that pocket shotgun. Nonetheless, Goyo is going to be replayed once again, and an operator that allows the defense to increase their fixed positions. Oni attempted the exact same C4 so many rounds ago, and Hypers is going to pre-place it all off those cameras that are put throughout this map. But will they have their impact? Because Adapt, again, had another drone downstairs. He heard it be placed, and he's now trying to find where that Nitro is. Now confirmed that Nitro Cell should never get a kill, and if it does, it is the biggest blunder of Project Neo's career.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Positions we see by the offense, Neo are moving a little bit slower than we would usually expect from them, especially given the context of the previous round. I don't know if this is maybe them... Well, we won't read into it too much, but a little bit more time spent. They don't have that huge opening kill that Spiker had collected last time by simply spraying through the Wolf window, or the Boar window, however you might want to call it. There's the Nitro again, ping, ping, ping. We'll see the breaching round detonate. That should be the Nitro cleared. If it wasn't, JJ would have heard it as he just drove his drone right over the top. Hypers lurking below, hoping to be that X factor for his team. Successful roam could be a real problem. You have Adapt bringing the Jackal, but currently as Inox has identified a player hiding over by Study, not your Valkyrie, who is still yet unaccounted for. And she might just cross the sightline of the Ash. Hypers is looking the wrong way. He doesn't know where X24 is, but the Ash charging right up the staircase, a bounty of shots shooting right through the wall, nearly 2 feet away from Hypers, but still the Valkyrie is inactive, not having been able to take out X24 as the Ash player escapes with his life by a chance factor.
Project Neo is going to be on the hardest part of their attack, rotating their attackers over to the south and start to send their bullets down range. They've done a wonderful job at removing some of those fixed positions of those Goyo shields all from underneath, but the Goyo himself is still just as lethal. He's showing his fangs and trying to swing in towards Lamp. He's collected one, but his teammate will collect another one, frozen close quarters the SMG-11, and it's all being facilitated by the camera actually in the Lamp itself. Project Neo, they know there's still offside pressure, particularly the Valkyrie. They have the pings, they have the cam, and they have the kill. Oni will be credited with that, but the time isn't on their side. Sub 30 seconds, and they're going to have to start to expedite. But there's deployable shields, and just about every defender utility still in their way, particularly looking towards 90. It's going to be impossible to push in from, and Fragger Maid's trying to bunker down those positions, break it down. Adapt steamrolling his way into the bomb site, trying to res his fallen teammate. It's a dangerous position to be in. The Nitro Cell will make it more dangerous, confirming them both.
They'll hang on for yet another round on their map pick, but the danger of Project Neo, who still linger on match point, remains in the air for round number 12. We could be staring down the exact replica of what happened on Clubhouse with a 5-6, and Neo hoping to finally stop the bleeding and to take their series-wide win. We'll see finally, for the first time in the second half, in the Team VaLe Villa defense, for them to rotate away from the primary and secondary objectives.
We haven't seen this bomb site once, and that could be an asset to Project Neo, since they're not going to be able to really understand how to break that down. Pulse being 6-picked into, not a big surprise there. The reason why they weren't showing that operator at the start, because they wanted to have some type of question marks in the back of the head of JJ of Project Neo, because maybe they're going to a different bomb site that he didn't see coming out. But everything else is looking more or less traditional. Force up to Nitro Cell, so indeed it will be the call center from hell, and make sure you're careful where you step, because those Nitro Cells, if they find their target true, could cripple the attack of Project Neo.
especially on such an important round. The tempers are starting to rise and all the pressure has built up to this moment. Unless we go to overtime for the first time today, the regulation victory could be within the next 3 minutes. Project Neo, similar lineup to some of the substance that we've seen from them, only bringing your single hard breacher. But hard breach is not the focus of an attack on this objective. Once in a blue moon, you'll need your hard breacher to open up the wall upstairs. If VaLe are really bunkered down and you have to get that open in order to clear it, the only other time that we'll see it is for the hatch or for the laundry wall. None of those are your primary option and are all sometimes unnecessary to create a proper attack. This is definitely a bunker down hold. Frozen is playing in the walk-in closet.
He actually might swing out as he opens up the window, not quite prepared to run out, but he has done enough of a jump. Adapt just walks upstairs, he finds the kill, Aether falls, and now Frozen's gonna have to force his swing. Droned out once again, and no hope of returning back to his friendlies. So the only option he has is to get kills, but fortunately Adapt will lose his life to that Nitro cell, and the rotation back to the site has been guaranteed. That was a roller coaster a few seconds there. Project Neo looked like they were the dominant force in what's a final round of regular play, but they're now going to have to fight with an equal man count.
Lucky for them, it's not the most valuable death to have lost early here. You still have your sledge, you can still create many of the openings, and you still have your big bounty of soft destruction. If you have Banshees or Evil Eyes that block and stall your progress. Marmalade is eliminated now by Spiker, who has begun to heat up in the hour of need for his teammate. X24 opens the painting here and jumps right into jail, holding this deep cross angle with 1:05 to go. Psychosis hopes to gather a little bit of intel with his cardiac sensor. The game of Nitros, long gone. We won't have any of that matter. 2 versus 4. Hypers and Psychosis. One impeccable gun, the other sometimes called the worst in the game. Will this be enough to hold off the horde of Project Neo with blood in the water and the victory on the line? 38 seconds.
It's going to be crucial if those bullets find true. One will find the confirmed down the all the upstairs and about to collect a second one. JJ loses so much of his life force, but Hypers weren't able to actually finish him off. That might cost him off in the end. Missed shots by Spikers, a huge blunder in the round, but Deputy still upstairs on the top floor. JJ forced to put the bomb down as he drops through that hatch, and now it's in the Alda. He can go for the tase if he finds him on the camera, but that's a missed opportunity, so we're now in that post plan. Starting to go for the hunt. The lone defender forced to evolve into an attacker, claim that diffuser, and claim the remaining kills. There's 2 of them in his way. Shots exchanged. X24 loses a lot of his life, but he's the winner of that duel. X24 wins. Project Neo is victorious in round 12.
The full 6 points for their long efforts. They steal their opponent's map pick and close out our series before having to head to overtime for a team that many had wrote off, for the team that replaced what some had considered to be the underdogs of the league. Neo certainly lived up to that reputation, defeating the Challenger League team to shocking the odds and guaranteeing that they move into week 2 with the full bounty of points available on offer today. Phenomenal play. Clubhouse was impeccable. Some of the cleanest assaults that I have seen in my casting career. And Villa, a long and drawn-out effort, they were able to make it happen.
And even VaLe, sure, they're the losers of today. They didn't get any points. They played well. They played phenomenal. And this, I think, is their mulligan. This is their one mistake, and they're going to be a roster that you're still going to have to look for as we wrap up stage 1. As we wrap up stage 1, we're at the start of stage 1, but there's still somebody that you need to look through the entire time. Never count them out. Again, that Challenger League experience will always be an asset. The highlight of my day, though, is the shotgun kill. It is so good.
So many moments where it seemed like everything had gone right, and a lot had gone wrong, especially in round number 6. There's a lot to think about given the way that this one had panned out. But Project Neo, their perseverance, their yelling capability. In some of the rounds on Villa, it is not your pick. It is your opponent's map, the one that they feel comfortable on. The fact that Project Neo were able to dominate a CL team on their map pick is a huge accomplishment and gives them so much credence moving forward into the next week of play and the rest of the season entirely. This is a huge win to have gotten out of the way so early on, and it's gotta feel great for JJ, for all of his team, bringing on Oni, a new pickup, brand new. Coming into this league match, I believe their official first match with Oni on the roster, and being able to perform in such the way that we saw.
And I was actually concerned about Oni joining the roster because Pride, well, they were known for being a team that was designed to have fun. They were all about good vibes. And while Project Neo, they have that element, they are also the roster that is, they just want to win. They're serious. They're here to play. They're here to be victorious. And they, well, showed that mindset is lethal against the roster that you said was Challenge League, which is true. And the rating, the score says it all. Now, sure, Adapt, he had a rough day. He wasn't always performing at his best, but that's the beauty about being a true team. When one of your teammates stumbles a little bit, you catch him and keep him standing.
Project Neo certainly did that. Spiker stepped up, and one of the best performances that I have seen from him in a long time. 1.32 rating is nothing to shake a stick at. 4-0, even on the entry. And he was really unstoppable. If you look at some of those attacking rounds later in the game where Project Neo needed the opening kill so desperately, Spiker came through and he provided a huge boosting force. For a player that you don't often see play the Zoe Jaeger entry role, Spiker definitely showed up for his team on this map, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of this new look Project Neo in the future. On the Team VaLe side of things, Psycho had a phenomenal game, top rating in the lobby, but still, the rest of his team, they did not have that consistency element to fall back on. And even though they fought hard through the 12 rounds, Hypers, Aether, and Frozen, they didn't have the best game of their life.
And it seems like our interview is ready. Mr. JJ himself has blessed us with his presence. We'll bring him on into our interview. JJ, welcome. Congrats on your victory.
What's up, guys? You guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Well,
Welcome to the cast.
okay.
First off, congrats on your victory. You were truly the underdogs coming in today because, well, you had a rocky start to your season because you technically didn't qualify, but a disband led you here to our field and our pitch today. Did that change the mindset of your team at all?
I mean, we knew we were the underdogs going into this. They beat us in close calls. We shouldn't even have been the season. I pulled the hardest finesse of the century. So yeah, I mean, we there's no pressure on us. If we got smoked, I mean, we got smoked. I mean, everyone hates on us anyway, so just come out and play, and that's what we did.
So what was your preparation for week 1 like? Because again, you weren't part of this series until a few weeks ago. Or a few days ago.
Yeah, we played them in quals on Clubhouse, so we knew what to expect on Clubhouse. They did the same stuff because, you know, they're probably like saving strats for CL because they need to. Yeah, I mean, we just knew they were going to play stupid because that's how they play. And it was just countering that. And for the most part, we did a pretty good job of countering them.
So a few different times, particularly on planes and games, you would all of a sudden just push in through study, and then you'd lose the round. And then the next round, you say, all right, we're going to be pushing from the north side of the map. What was creating those changes?
Yeah, so their first aviator defense, they had like a hard master set extension we saw in prep, so we called to go for the top main like AV exec. And then that didn't work for us, and then they said, and then the next round they just changed their setup to stop the AV take, which we did and lost. So they gave us landing side for free, so we hit landing side, and it was free, so just countered what they were doing.
Perfect. Well said. I'm going to pass it over to Sticula.
All right, well, specifically, I'd like to talk a little bit more about some of the attacks that we had on Clubhouse. You mentioned that, you know, you knew what to expect coming into that, and I think it helps for Clubhouse attacks to be able to come into each and every round and attack a setup that you know how to counter. For the first CCTV attack that we saw, X24 got just obliterated out on the platform wall rappel. How did that affect your team's ability to orient around the objective?
That first CC round was chalked from the beginning. Sean got wall banged through the con wall, and then Adapt got swung on breach and got smoked. Like, after the round was over, or we knew that, like, yeah, they just died unfortunately, but the next time attacking that site, the second time when we said we're going to go CC again, do the split take, Adapt was like, yeah, I saw the way Logan died. Like, it was not even his fault. I'm like, okay, so they just got lucky. Just run it back.
What about the Monty that you would sometimes bring on CCTV? Is that something you're maybe looking to incorporate more?
Spiker's a team player, that's all I'll say.
Spiker's a team player?
Yeah, she always wants to do what's best for the team, and she's always looking to help out the boys, so.
Okay. I wanted to ask, we had plenty of Nomad ban earlier in the first series. I think it was only banned on the second map. What is your thoughts? What's your take on the Nomad ban? I've seen you guys ban it a lot recently.
I mean, that's just been a history trend with my teams. Nomad isn't the most fun. I mean, we didn't even ban it on Villa. So, yeah, I mean, thankfully the one scrim we got on Villa with the new roster, Nomad was banned, so we were ready for it. Well, we were like, oh, okay, well, at least we played against us already, so.
Yeah, that's good to have. One final question. You guys face Aggro next week. What thoughts do you have on that match? Because after what Aggro did to Synthetic, I don't know, I might be shaking. That
game was Synthetic playing terribly and not Aggro playing good. Synthetic crapped the bed on that game. I'm not worried about Aggro at all. Those guys, I'm out for revenge on those guys. I love Asian and all, but he's the reason I didn't qualify. If he beat Nemesis, I would have been in the league in the first place. So, gotta come with the fire versus them.
All right, strong words, JJ. Always good to talk with you. Before we let you go, any final words? Anyone you'd like to thank? Maybe Spiker the girl, or?
Nah, I got some stuff I get off my chest though. Oni this, Oni that. I don't care. T3 complains all they want. I'm in the league. You can't stop me now.
Woo! All right, JJ. Thank you for the interview. Good to speak with you. We hope to have you in the interview booth once again, but go celebrate with your team. Congrats. Chief, I mean, confident words. We've got the statistics ahead of us, but there's a lot to unpack in that interview. The stats, I think, paint quite the picture. X24, that 1.41 rating, primarily off of his incredible efforts on Clubhouse. I mean, he was a monster on some of those attacks.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, you're right. The statistics say it all. And again, I don't want to call Adapt out. He made mistakes throughout today, but, you know, he was there to play. He's a roster, part of a 5-man team. You can't put too much, pressure on him. Marmalade, on the other hand, she's also, well, not also, but she is a support player, and her job isn't necessarily to take those opening duels, take those gunfights. But what I look about at a support player is not their entries, but if they're dying to entry kills. And 3 entry deaths is something that is not a good position to be in, and that comes down to the structure of a round and how you're utilizing those supports.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how Team VaLe come back from this. You described it as a mulligan, and we're hoping to see a little bit more consistency and perhaps even a win going into week number 2. There is a few things to talk about in terms of the schedule. That Aggro versus Neo game is actually front and center coming to you on Wednesday, March 10th. So be sure that you tune in for that one. I'm really excited to see how that's going to play out and whether or not we might have another long competitive series. But from all of us here at the Storm Competitive Series, we would just like to provide a huge thank you for a very successful week number 1. I've been Sticula, my co-caster Chief, our observer, MaXD, our producer, Ferme, Rigel, on the replays, Mistakes running the social media, Azul, SJ, Grave, KCAS, all providing you those live statistics that we like to talk about oh so much. Thank you all. We hope to hear you again.
A triple kill, but Soda Finn, he'll deny the plant. Easy super kill. Oh my god! Soda Finn will find more!
Where's Miracle? He's trying to come upstairs, but Crafty will get the ace. He'll get the plant. He'll do it all.
Device, misses shots. He's gonna have to go for the front.
Oh,
He pushes
Dylan!
on through. Dylan is better.
Round 2, and there's another as Tyrant is finished off, and they all line up for Bone.
Bye.